Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Cuyahoga and Ashtabula counties and beyond. This is Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, or stream us anywhere with the Moody Radio app, other streaming services, and at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
An Illinois judge has removed former President Trump from the state's ballot. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The reason for the removal was the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban. A stay was issued by the judge on the order, giving Trump's legal team time to appeal by the deadline, which is Friday. The National Park Service says Cuyahoga Valley National Park was one of the top visited national parks in the Midwest in 2023. Newly released data says more than 2.8 million people visited the park, which is nestled between Cleveland and Akron. That number is the most visitors the park has seen since 2004, when there were 3.3 million visitors. And Newsweek magazine has come out this week with its ranking of the world's best hospitals, and It likely comes as little surprise that the Cleveland Clinic has made the cut. In fact, the clinic placed second in the rankings for a sixth straight year. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
The Bible is core to the Christian life, and it's the foundation for every Moody Theological Seminary master's program. If you're a ministry leader, Bible study, or small group leader, you'll benefit from the Moody Theological Seminary's Bible Studies program. Learn to effectively study Scripture and teach it with confidence. Gain a better understanding of how God's Word relates to our lives, church, and communities. Learn more and register online today at moody.edu/MABS. moody.edu/MABS.
In sports, the Bulls held off the Cavaliers 132-123 in double overtime. Wow. And the Blue Jackets fell to the Rangers 4-1. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny today and much cooler, with our highs only reaching into the upper 30s. At last check, clear in Cleveland, 23 degrees. Clear skies in Akron and Canton, 20 degrees. It's cloudy in Ashtabula, where it is 26 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
Leap Day is an extra day that gets added to the calendar. During a leap year, which occurs every 4 years, Leap Day falls on February 29th, giving the shortest month of the year one added day. If Leap Day was left off the calendar, the months where we normally experience each season would eventually begin to shift a little, and this would impact other aspects of our life, such as growing and harvesting crops. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:03. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Where are we? What are we doing? It's Leap Day. Do we exist?
Yes. Is this real?
Are you excited? It's Leap Day.
It's a bonus
Pretty
day.
cool. Yeah.
My children have been mystified by Leap Day for their entire existence.
Really?
Yeah, there's this thing about, like, my kids will always ask questions about it. And the questions ultimately revolve around what happens if you're born on Leap Day? Do you age at all?
My mother-in-law was born on Leap Day. It's her birthday.
How old is she?
I don't
17
actually know.
or something?
Yeah.
I've always wondered what you put on your paperwork. And like, is it a headache when you go to the DMV
And
and
they're like that.
you're
It
like,
doesn't exist.
legally you're 4, but you're 16?
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids are convinced that somehow it changes the way you age, that you really only will advance 1 year in age every 4 years.
No.
It's not how it works.
No.
She just
It-
celebrates on the 28th every year.
It would be nice if that happened like after you hit 20.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my first few years, to be that slow.
Wow.
But once I've hit, my prime, then slow down. That's fine.
We're still waiting for that moment.
Oh, okay.
By the way, you're back.
Yes,
You feeling okay?
I am. I'm much better. A day of nothing but saltines and Gatorade. And
Sounds delicious.
yeah, then I slowly introduced some vegetable soup from my neighbor Holly.
Oh,
How
that
nice.
was
Chicken
Holly's.
noodle, kind of. It was good, very good. And then we had a chicken salad sandwich in the fridge. I ate that.
Boy, you really progressed quickly there.
And Arby's roast beef sandwich. And I ate
Okay.
that. And I finally had to stop eating. I thought, that's enough.
Ron,
Don't put your stomach to the foolish test.
most people will do 1 day of Gatorade and saltines and then maybe soup. You did it all in 1 day.
Well, I did the Gatorade was one day.
Oh, and then the next day you advanced to Arby's.
Yeah,
Okay.
soup and Arby's.
You're probably hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back, even though we don't know where we are in Leap Day.
yeah.
It's kind of creepy. Are you creeped out, Lauren?
No.
What day is it?
No, I'm not creeped out.
It should be March right now, but it's not. Your mother-in-law must be having a party today, a big one,
Yeah, she usually does.
just because she only gets to every 4 years, technically.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you don't get excited about anything?
Well, I don't know. What's there to be excited about? It's just another day.
This day won't happen again for 4 years, Lauren.
Yeah. I saw it 4 years ago. I'll see it in another 4.
Get excited. See, there we go. Lauren, where are you? You're trapped in February. You're trapped here.
Until tomorrow.
You can't get out.
It's not Groundhog Day, it's Leap Day.
No, it's today. Last year, this day wasn't here. Last year, this day, you'd be in March. Ah! You're still in February. Ah!
I mean, once you understand why they do it, it makes you like, oh, okay, it's fine.
It's a math problem.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more scary. Keep X-Files there. Oh no, math is everywhere. Math teachers love this. It's the Earth. It spins.
Yeah.
365 point
Point
pi
something,
or
yeah.
whatever.
2.5.
Square root of 3.147 26. And then
That's
you
pretty good.
divide by 4. Carry the 1.
I'm like, oh, gotta add an extra day every 4 years.
Did you know that every 100 years or so you skip Leap Day?
No.
It's true. I looked it up on the internet, so it must be true.
It's like it should be a leap day, but it's not, so it's a very regular year.
Yeah, because the math problem has such a weird remainder. Ron, start that over. It's not over. Yeah.
But it's just like a regular
Like
year.
in 1700 and 1800 and 1900, they skipped it.
Did they skip it in 2000?
No, they didn't. Because math.
You'll have to ask David about that next time he's on.
Whoa. Why don't you get excited about anything?
Because it's just a day.
Ron, are you excited with me?
I am. This is kind of interesting.
It's not like, it's like, oh, Sleep Day. Okay, I get to write February 29th. That's cool.
It's like we're in an alternate universe. Everything, everywhere, all at once.
I barely know what day it is most of the time. You expect me to care about 29?
This actually explains a lot. We should have known this. Lauren, would you tell the world what happened when your husband proposed to you? He got down on one knee and he said, Lauren, will you marry me? You said what?
Well, we're already planning the wedding anyway, so.
He hadn't proposed when you were planning the wedding? How did that work out?
We just knew we were going to get married, so we started like booking the venue and stuff.
So how did that come about? Where you were not officially engaged, but, let's start planning a wedding?
I don't know.
I mean, most women, that's like one of the peaks of their life is I'm surprised, I'm weeping. Yes, I'll marry you. You're like, we're already planning a wedding anyway. Unimpressed. Totally unimpressed. What's impressed you? Just give me one thing.
I don't know. I can't think of anything at the top of my head right now.
Of course not. Well, I should have known Leap Day wouldn't do it. Happy Leap Day.
Happy Leap Day.
Happy
And
Leap
happy
Day.
birthday to my mother-in-law.
Yes, mother-in-law, you're the best. Okay, you know what else is the best? Share. Share's my favorite because we get to hear from people on what they think about the radio station, what it's done in their lives. The comments are my favorite.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
And you got a chance to see that for the first time. Was it last year?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you? Unimpressive?
No, it was fun.
It is fun, like, because people will write specific things as comments. I
Like
love
why
it.
they're giving. It's nice.
Yeah, Dara, you like that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, on, was it Monday? You accidentally gave the wrong instructions for a call-in, so the phone lines were just like on fire.
Yeah.
And so you came in, you're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I get to talk to people. It's nice.
You like that, yeah. So we need your financial support. That's just basically how it works.
Yes, it is.
This radio station is listener supported, and if you're listening right now, you're a listener. So that's you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think about it? A very small percentage of people actually financially support a radio station like ours. And the more people that support it, the less stressed we are, and the more ministry we can do.
Right. You've seen some changes over the recent years. The advent of the live streaming video is something that we could do because we had the funding provided by listeners of the past paying forward. We need you all to step up and pay so that we can continue the live streaming and other things and branch out to even more as time and technology allows us.
Especially those of you who are, waiting in the wings to ask David Szfranski the question we hear almost every week.
Yeah.
David, I inherited so much money. I just don't know what to do. I'm so stressed. I've paid off everything in my life, and I just have all this money sitting here. What could I do? Well, you could use it as part of a match.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for match money where we motivate other people to give because they like to give if they know that someone's going to match the dollar amount they give. And so maybe you're one of those people that calls on Thursdays and says, Dave, I've paid off all the things, and I am stressed out about how much money I have. You could give $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to share to help motivate others to give. If you want to do that, just text us. It's the easiest way to chat about it. 440-546-2255. And if you want to give now, because we'd like to be at 25% of our goal by the time we start, you can do that too. Just text the word share to 440-546-2255. We'll send you a link. Text share to 440-546-2255. Hey, Lauren, guess what?
What?
It's Leap Day.
I thought you were going to say a chicken butt.
No, me too.
Would that have been the thing that's got you excited?
No.
Guess why?
Chicken thigh.
Wow.
We got more. I'm overwhelmed here. I'm verklempt. We got more coming up.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838. That's 1-800-659-9838.
If you're 65 or older, you know this. Seeing your healthcare costs go up and up is frustrating. And maybe you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing again, or you're just tired of the massive deductibles. Well, here's some good news. There's a program that can really help with this. It's MediShare 65 Plus. It's an affordable, reliable alternative. You can choose any Medicare provider. You get telehealth access anytime you need it. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. MediShare is a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith. People actually pray for you. They encourage you, and it's proven, too. It's been going strong for over 30 years now. So call now. You can get one low monthly price for up to 10 years. You're not stuck with increasing costs. You can do something about this today. Call MediShare 65 Plus. Find out how much you can save. Call 833-59-SHARE. That's 833-59-SHARE. 833-59-SHARE.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Are stuck in February together on the 29th. It's a leap day. It's crazy. It's exciting. And it's going to be a great show today. We got Dave Szfranski coming to answer your financial questions from 8 to 9. You can text those in. Already got one today. Text 440-546-2255. Also, we have an expert coming in today from Malone University, someone from their financial aid department, to talk about the giant mess that is FAFSA this year. If you have anyone in your life who's a college-bound individual, the FAFSA form was a disaster zone. I was reading a little bit about it because I've known there's a problem, but I'm just kind of aloof in general.
Right.
And at first it was like, oh, we're going to change when we're changing the form because they made us, so it's going to be late. And then when it came out late, they released it. They're like, oh, wait, whoops, we made a mistake in there. So we can't, It's like a really big mistake in the math problem. So we'll fix that. Anyway, we'll find out what's going on there. You can text in your FAFSA questions if you have them. You can do that at 440-546-2255. Also text WALK. We got Walk Worthy coming up Saturday. 48 hours till the party begins.
Woo.
It's going to be awesome. We're all going to be there. So are you, I hope. There's just a few seats left. Text WALK to 440-546-2255.
I've picked out my ensemble.
Corduroy jacket?
Yes.
Patches on the elbows?
Yes.
Did you vacuum it off?
I didn't actually need to.
Oh.
Well, maybe I should take another look just to be sure.
Give it a quick vacuuming. Who knows?
Yeah. And I'll be wearing blue jeans and a blue shirt, a lighter blue kind of chambray, I think they call it.
Very nice. I don't know if you're aware of this because you were out, but the ladies decided to wear like semi-matching evening gowns. One is blue sequins, one is red sequins.
How nice.
Yeah, and they're wearing stilettos and everything. It's going to be amazing.
With the white gloves to the elbow?
You know it. Real Vanna White.
And part of our event will be they're going to do a running race through the sanctuary in their stilettos.
In the stilettos, yes.
There's a long haul at CBT.
Be a very short race because I will face plant.
Too.
Was I right on the dresses that you're wearing evening gowns?
Oh, sure.
They're not playing along today, Ron. It's leap day.
We
That's
said
why.
yes.
Yeah.
What
But
more
you're
do you
not, though.
want?
I know you're not. You're not wearing an evening gown.
Well, obviously, we're not wearing an evening gown. We're trying to play along, Brian. This is Radio 101. You just go with it.
Yes, and.
But see, the next thing we want to talk about is how it's a struggle to just go with it when you don't know what it is. So here's what I mean. The Wall Street Journal has an article about tech etiquette rules. And I was a little concerned for all of us and a couple of them. But the first one was, okay, here's how the article starts. Polite society can agree on certain unwritten rules when it comes to our digital devices. And then they launch into one that I didn't know. If someone is talking to you, remove at least one AirPod. Yes, even if it's in conversation awareness mode.
I feel like that one's a given.
I do that.
I don't do that. If I go to a store and I'm wearing my headphones, like I can hear. And the way you know that I can hear you is when you're talking to me and I respond. I'm supposed to take one out?
Well, in polite society, but for Brian, you just leave them both in.
How'd you know that? No one told me that.
It's just kind of common sense. It makes it look like you're not listening or paying attention.
But when I look at you and I respond to the things you're saying, you know that I can hear you.
But I don't, though, because I don't know if the music is paused. I don't know.
But I have to take out the case. I got to put one in there. I got to put it back. I'm in a hurry. You're telling me this is common sense? I didn't know this was a rule. You're going to see how much I struggle as we carry on. If you're invited to someone's wedding, you don't post a group selfie where the bride is sneezing. Like the bride's supposed to look good in all those. I knew that. You don't want to make her look bad.
And you don't post a picture before she has posted pictures.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to be the first one to put something up. No.
I'll get off your phone during the ceremony.
Yeah, amen.
I went to one where I was like 2 rows back from the front because Jimmy was the best man, so I got special seating, I guess. I could not see because people literally had iPads blocking my view, recording the whole thing. Yes, it was the weirdest wedding I've ever been to.
Sometimes now I think they tell people, don't even take out your phone.
I've seen some weddings that they'll have a phone box because they don't want you on your phone. Like at this wedding, a phone went off. People were on them trying to record. It's like it's happening right in front of you. Use your there's a camera in your brain.
Here's one if my kids were awake, they'd be excited about because I struggle with this. And if you're riding on a bus or a train, don't watch any TikToks or Instagram reels at full volume. Why are you shaking your head?
Oh, yeah.
Because anytime your phone turns on, it is so loud.
Me?
Yes.
Well, okay. See, my kids will do this where they're watching a TikTok or whatever. They're watching the TikTok, and it's so quiet they have to put it up to their ear to hear it. Sarah does this with the TV. It's like I'll walk in the room, and she's watching TV, and I'll be like, if we all stop breathing, maybe we can hear what they're saying. I don't want to have to struggle to hear. I want it to be.
And apparently, you don't want to go see a ear specialist, a hearing aid technician.
I don't want to have to struggle to hear it. I want it to be very.
Yes. When you find yourself pushing up toward 99 on the volume of your TV, then you know it's time to go see the specialist.
No. I have it around like 30.
Okay.
30.
What's it on your phone?
All the way, so I can hear it.
They're trying to be courteous of the people around them who don't want to hear their TikToks.
Even in my own house. I don't do it in public all that much, except around you, apparently.
You do it all the time.
I do?
Yeah.
It's too loud?
Yeah, but the statement in the article was on a bus or train, right?
Yeah, I feel like if I'm in my house that I pay for, I can have my volume all the way up. My kids are they get mad at me. Dad, it's so loud. I'm like, I don't care. I'm in my house. Loud as I want.
Yeah, if it's your house, it's fine.
Lauren doesn't think
This
so.
is our house. This is our combined house here, the studio, so.
So I should not have it all the way up?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Technically, it's God's house.
So, okay, they say best practices don't necessarily catch on right away for this guy. All right, here's a couple of them. See how many you fail at, because you two are going to fail at some. I guarantee it. And Ron, I'm not worried about you because, you have an excuse like me. You're getting older. Number 1, does sneakily snapping pictures of people's excellent outfits or adorable pets in public make you a creep?
Yes.
Lauren?
I've never done that before.
Would you think it makes you a creep?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Apparently, you can only do that if you ask for consent.
Yeah, I don't want to be on some random person's phone.
Even if it's because you have a great outfit on?
No, that's weird.
So somebody would have to walk up to you, tap you. Excuse me, you don't know me. Can I take a picture of you? I love your outfit.
The answer would be no. Thank you for asking, but still no.
What about you have a cute little doggy? Can I take a picture of your doggy?
A dog is different, but I don't want to be in someone's phone. That is very strange.
Okay.
Although it is legal. If you're out in public where there's no expectation of privacy, they can film you if they want. And
Take that, Daria.
No, I know they can. That doesn't mean it's polite.
Right.
Number 2, can you exclude Android users from a group chat? You're laughing. Why?
Because it makes all the messages not blue.
Yes, they're green.
Yeah, and of course, when they try to love a message,
It sends
it actually
so-and-so loved a message.
Yeah, it's so annoying. And so they're saying you can't bully your Android friends out of a group chat, but you can well, I guess they're saying you have to let them in. I don't like that.
You'd keep someone out of a group chat just because they have an Android?
It'd be annoying. I'd tell them to go get a new phone or something.
How big of an inconvenience is that really? Some people like Android, and as an Apple user, I will say Android is better in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are annoying.
We're right.
Next one, how about this? Is it rude to type away on a laptop during a meeting?
It depends.
Lauren?
Yeah, I think it's rude, but I still do it.
Daria?
If I'm doing something related to the meeting, then no. If I'm doing something else, then yeah, that's rude.
It says if you must type, glance up from your screen and nod occasionally, showing engagement and active listening. Are we doing this, ladies?
Yes.
I think so.
They both have their computers out in all of our meetings. I don't.
Who's taking the notes for the meetings?
Exactly.
I'm very polite
Who's
in our
keeping
meetings.
track of your to-dos?
I'm very polite in our meetings.
No.
Unless my phone goes off, then it's super loud.
Or if you're texting and you're not listening at all.
Well,
Lauren and I don't text during meetings.
You text on your computers?
Nope.
No.
And they're not thinking of the next funny diversion they can launch into the meeting.
Checking emails, getting research on a project we just discussed.
One of my roles in life, one of my spiritual gifts is making meetings fun. It's one of my spiritual
They
gifts.
don't
You
need to be
didn't know
fun.
that.
They need to be productive.
No, wrong. Incorrect. They need to be both. They can be both.
I have other things to do, Brian.
Final one. We're moving on from that one. I thought I was going to get you on that. Okay, number 4. How soon after entering someone's house can you ask for a Wi-Fi password?
Oh, wow. At least an hour.
It says context matters. If you're staying the weekend with the in-laws, you can ask like right away. I don't, and they imply that it's not polite to ask for it otherwise, really.
Yeah, if you're just like hanging out for an evening, that's weird.
My kids' friends are all about it. Hey, can I have your Wi-Fi password? Whoa, who are you? I don't know if I want you in there, buddy.
Yeah, I used to be so offended. Like, what?
You want free internet?
Want it into my safe or something? And then, I got to realize this is just what they do. They have to keep connected. So I set up a different, playground kind of on the Wi-Fi that they can go to.
Yeah, you can create most routers. You can create a separate one for guests, so they don't get into your system and hack you.
Yeah.
Finally, is it rude to scroll when you're FaceTiming?
I think so. Of
Yeah,
course,
why
the
would
other
you do
person
that?
will probably not know.
Yeah, they say it's rude.
Yeah, I can't. I don't FaceTime very much at all, so I'm wondering what you would scroll, because I thought FaceTime takes up the whole screen.
You can minimize it.
Oh.
Well, and you can also be on, like, for example, FaceTiming on an iPad and, scrolling on your phone.
What's the point of FaceTiming if you're not even going to look at the person's face?
Yeah.
Has my wife ever, nudged me when we're FaceTiming, like, family or something to be like, stop that?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. What do you mean, yeah, you're sure?
Because that tracks.
What, that tracks. Turns out we shouldn't have talked about this one. Basically, we're finding that I'm totally clueless about etiquette when it comes to devices. Is that what we found?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there we go. You're welcome. But it's leap day, so nothing counts. Right?
Yeah. I think it counts extra.
It's 6:34. Time for a break.
I'm Cindy Farini, and this is Pause for Prayer. Joseph spent 20 years in Egypt after his brothers sold him. I guess it took that long for him to be prepared to be in charge to save his family from famine. Do you ever wonder what those 20 years were like for him? Do you ever think that they were fun, pleasant, easy, or comfortable? Those 20 years were very difficult. He was without family, he was persecuted, jailed, mistreated, lied about, and falsely accused. I believe he was able to be victorious because he kept his eyes off himself and on the Lord. He was able to see that his sufferings were momentary afflictions and a part of God's greater plan in his life. Let's pause for prayer. Lord, when I complain or hear others complain about momentary afflictions or minor discomforts, I sometimes wonder just what you must think. We have such a way, don't we, Lord, of whining about things that are so small. We complain and whine about things of much less difficulty than what Joseph endured. Help me to focus on you instead of myself and instead of my problems this very moment. Help me to take my eyes off of myself and look around me to see the beauty in the things you have made and to rejoice that you give us only what we can handle and only for our good so that we can glorify you. Help me to see the things from your perspective like Joseph was able to do. Help me give you praise and to let my life, even through difficulty and pain, reflect your love and kindness. Let me always realize that others are watching and taking note of how we respond as your child. Let me realize my actions and responses are an indication of my trust and dependence on you, and may I lead others to you because of my trust and surrender to you as my Lord and Savior. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Moody Radio is thankful for the support from our listeners and Bridgeway Homeschool Academy, proud to provide 30 years of flexible curriculum programs and one-on-one support for homeschoolers. Learn more about textbook, online, and live online homeschool classes at bridgewayacademy.com.
If you're looking for a way to leave a legacy that will help many hear the gospel, consider including the Moody Bible Institute as a beneficiary within your will, trust, or other estate planning documents. This is a wonderful way to steward well and extend your partnership with Moody beyond your lifetime. To learn more about the benefits of remembering the Moody Bible Institute, Moody Radio, and your other favorite Christian ministries with a legacy gift, go to moodylegacy.org. That's moodylegacy.org.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3
641, Walkworthy Men's Conference coming up this Saturday. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. The whole team will be there. Just a few seats left. Think about it. Get your ticket today. Text WALK to 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. And also, again, Dave Szfranski will be here to answer your financial questions from 8 to 9. You can text those in anytime. 440-546-2255. All right, let's see how we feel about this one. Relevant Magazine writes this. Let's be honest. We've all been there. It's Sunday morning, and even though we're in church, our brains are elsewhere. We're not saying it's a good thing to let your mind drift during a Sunday morning service, but it happens, okay? We're not monks. Are you willing to say it?
Yeah.
My mind drifts sometimes.
Brave Sir Ronald?
I know not what you speak of.
It's funny, like in a lot of traditional Christian radio, like you would never admit this. You'd be like, "Oh, I was in church yesterday, and
I heard every word.
I was focused, transformed." Meanwhile, I think anybody, for whatever reason, maybe it's just you're feeling spacey, or you've heard the song 16,000 times, and you're just not totally into it. Your mind drifts a little bit.
I think that's one of the reasons the live stream that churches are doing is great, because if you do wander, you can go back and listen to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I like that. They say, look, it even happened during one of Paul's sermons, and he was like, the greatest preacher ever. And side note, even though that poor dude in Acts not only fell asleep, but also fell out a window, had to literally be brought to life because he died, it totally caused a whole scene. Paul seemed pretty chill about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that poor kid, by all accounts, he was a kid, was so embarrassed.
Yeah. And grateful to be back alive again.
Yeah.
But I mean, Paul, clearly the kid's mind wandered when Paul was preaching. He fell out the window because he fell asleep. Okay, so it's literally been happening since the very first church services, so we might as well be honest. Here are thoughts everyone has had while bored at church. Let me take you through these thoughts. This is like we're going to enter someone's brain. I just raised my glasses to read it.
You turned 45 2 days ago, and I'm kind of worried about you.
My optometrist was like, "Do you want bifocals?" I go, "What do you mean? Do I want them? Do I have to have them?" He goes, "It's your choice. I choose not to. I don't. Psychologically, I don't want them." Okay, so here I am telling you what's inside this person's head. See if this resonates. Church is going. I hope my phone battery doesn't die. Did I charge it last night? Wait, is that bass player's amp even turned on? Seriously, I don't hear him at all. I'd feel pretty claustrophobic if I was stuck in that giant drum shield. I wonder how well she can breathe in there. At least there's that little fan. Wait, did I set up my fantasy lineup yet? If I turn the brightness down on my phone, no one can tell I'm on Facebook. Not YouVersion, right? Nope. Various thoughts on lunch now. Let's see. Chick-fil-A's closed today. Man, maybe I'll go to Taco Bell. I just don't like that spiced beef aftertaste in the afternoon. But whatever happened to Quiznos? I love Quiznos. It's not even open anymore. What's that about? Anyways, this guy next to me pretending to text during the people, you're supposed to greet, the greeting time? Wow, messed up, man. Are Norwalls mythical? They can't be real, right? I'm pretty sure that PowerPoint has a typo. I should tell somebody before the next service. Wait, never mind. That is how you spell neighbor. Whoever came up with an I before E except after C idea, they didn't know what they're talking about. Various thoughts about lunch again. Let's see. Lunch. Hypothetically, if I folded the bulletin and made it into an airplane, I could land it right in that baptismal, I bet, right there. Remember those foldable fortune teller things? I wonder if I could still make one. Remember those? Where you put it in your hands. From the looks of the mission display, there's a lot of variations in the world flag. Look at that. Nepal's got one that's not even a rectangle. It's a weird shape. Who knew you could do that? Is he wrapping up? Is he wrapping up the sermon? One more point usually means he's launching into a whole new acronym. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to covertly look around during the every head bowed, every eye closed time. No one will notice. The pastor just looked right at me. Oh, wait. Oh, we made eye contact. This is not good. This is awkward. I think he thinks I was asking for prayer or something. I have no choice. I'm going forward. I really wish I had been paying attention. Oh, boy, people are clapping now while I'm walking on stage. Did I just volunteer to lead the mission trip? Oh, looks like I'm going to Honduras.
That's what you get.
For me, it's usually a lunch thought. It's like, what are we going to have for lunch today? I didn't thaw out the meat. Oh, no. Where does your mind go, Ron?
Mine would be like if there was a distraction, a baby crying out, or our teens stay for the worship at the beginning and then leave to go to their teaching time separately. So there's not a lot of, teens wrestling, making distractions that way. And most of the adults sit pretty still. Plus, I sit up about the third row on the left side, so I have to really turn to look at what's going on behind me. So that helps me keep focus.
And then no one can see you thoughtfully closing your eyes to just think deeply.
True. That has happened from time to time. But Dana's elbow is usually pretty good at bringing me back into focus.
All right. It's 6:47. It happens. We're not saying it's great. It happens. Your mind wanders. 6:47 WCRF.
What does it mean to love God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength? How do you do that? This month in the Today in the Word devotional, you'll gain a better understanding of this commandment and learn how to love God well. You'll also have access to a companion study for your family. Re-examine what Jesus calls our central purpose and highest goal. Download the free Today in the Word app or get a daily email in your inbox. Sign up at todayintheword.com.
No matter your age or season of life, there's always something more to learn and skills to gain. Moody Enrich is Moody Bible Institute's new lifelong learning venue. The focus is on personal enrichment and professional development through video courses and e-courses starting at just $14.99. You'll gain life-changing understanding of Scripture and expand your ministry and professional skills. Explore the courses that may be of help and interest to you. Go to moody.edu/enrich. moody.edu/enrich.
Moody Bible Institute is a special place. We're blessed to work here, and we'd love you to join us. There's a need for the tax manager and internal auditor. You'll be supervised by the treasurer and be responsible for all aspects of trust tax reporting, institute taxes, and sales taxes, plus the internal audit and compliance functions. It's so satisfying to use how God gifted you for His good by joining the team at Moody Bible Institute. Apply now at moodyjobs.org.
Gospel music means Tasha Cobbs Leonard,
Jonathan McReynolds,
Jacqueline Carr.
They're all on urbanpraiseradio.org. Get the free Moody Radio app and click Urban Praise.
Good morning, Cleveland. Thanks for choosing us to help you start your day. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
It's 6:52 on WCRF Mornings with Brian. 48 hours away from this year's Walkworthy Men's Conference, Canton Baptist Temple. My good friend Daria here made a good suggestion because some folks either may have had last-minute plan changes or perhaps you just can't organize your schedule enough to get all the way to Canton. But we have other options for you.
We do. If you can't make the trip, we do have a live stream. So you can still text WALK 440-546-2255. You can watch it on your phone, your computer, your TV, so you don't have to miss out.
And even if you've thought about trying to get a group of guys together, maybe at your church, you could throw it together at the last minute. We do have site licenses available. We have a number of churches literally across the country that are going to be participating in Walkworthy. Not only do we have them at Lorraine Correctional, we have a residential addiction program that's going to be streaming the whole thing. We've got a church in Elgin, Illinois. We have one in Quad Cities. We've got Indiana, I believe there's one. So you could still do a site license. Those are available. Just again, text WALK to 440-546-2255. And there's a couple of seats left, a couple of seats. So if you want to get a ticket and come hang with us, it'd be great. There's lunch. There's world famous donuts. We got a lot of comments in the donuts last year, even donut holes. Ron says he's going to put one in each finger and walk around.
You've said I was going to do that.
I thought you said you'd put one in each finger. Maybe not. Maybe it was me.
One finger on each hand and do the shame. But now you're saying I shouldn't shame people for not getting tickets. So,
well, I think Lauren told me that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, well.
Brian can't shame people, but Ron can.
Ron can. Yes, okay. Ron can do anything. He may or may not put donut holes in his fingers, but nonetheless, we'd love to see you there. There's Moody Publishers is going to have books available. You'll have a chance to meet some of the speakers. Bring a friend who may be open spiritually, because Dr. Job always gives a very clear gospel presentation and an opportunity for you to make a commitment to Jesus. And last year it was amazing. There was a group of guys. Goodness, how many? I'm trying to remember how many it was. I bet there was a dozen guys up there that gave their life to the Lord.
15.
15, yeah. And then he had another opportunity for folks who already are following Jesus to really talk about something they need to, a chain they need to break in their lives, a pattern that needs to be broken. And guys came up. He had to cut them off to publicly declare something they needed to do differently. In fact, one of my favorites, I ran into a guy who said, he was one of the first ones. He came up and he said, listen, I'm living with my girlfriend. I know I shouldn't be doing this. Dr. Job looked at him in front of the whole crowd and said, you know what you need to do? You need to marry her. If that's what you're doing, living together, you need to get married. The guy said, okay. He did. I ran into him a couple months ago. He's like, hey, just so you know, I got married. Remember me? I was like, yes, that's great. Amazing things happen at Walkworthy, and so we'd love to have you be a part of this thing. Ladies, maybe nudge your husband. Text WALK to 440-546-2255, 440-546-2255. We'll do a special hour, modified hour of the show in front of you. We've got some spicy topics to discuss, some fun games to play. It'll be available just for folks on in person. We'll eventually release it on YouTube. And that'll be a lot of fun, too. I can't wait. And with that in mind, I think Lauren is feeling happy enough today on a leap day that there's enough free things. We ought to give away another pair of tickets.
Yes, another pair of tickets.
Is this the last pair?
This might be the last pair.
It could be. We don't even know. But we have a pair of tickets to go to the Walkworthy Men's Conference. Maybe you're last minute Charlie, and you could do it, and you don't want to pay for it. Well, this is the time. What number, Daria, should we pick?
Number 3.
Caller number 3 right now gets a pair of tickets to Walkworthy, 440-546-2255. Call right now, 440-546-2255. Caller number 3 gets a pair of tickets to the Walkworthy Men's Conference coming up on Saturday this week. It's a few days away. Grab that phone and call, 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Just about 7 o'clock here on Leap Day on WCRF. Happy Leap Day. We gave away a pair of Walkworthy Men's Conference tickets to Tim. Congratulations, Tim. You'll be joining us. The ladies love it. Can't wait to meet you. Be sure to stop by and say hello. And again, if you want to get your tickets, whether it's a digital ticket to watch from home or a site license to watch from your men's group somewhere else, or get your own tickets, there's just a few left. Text WALK right now to 440-546-2255 or go to moodyconferences.com.
Yep.
All right, it's time for Ron's News and today's More Ron moment. And right after that, another edition of Pretend Experts.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The Food and Drug Administration says food packaging that contains harmful, long-lasting chemicals will no longer be sold in the U.S. It's 7:01. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Man-made chemicals called PFAs, commonly known as forever chemicals, don't break down and have been associated with serious health risks. On Wednesday, the FDA announced food packages that contained these forever chemicals will no longer be sold nationwide. The trial of a man accused of burning down his own business has been delayed. Proceedings were to begin today in the trial of Mark Mickey. Mickey was the co-owner of Pavona's Pizza Joint on Sand Run Road on October 20 of 22. Fire destroyed that restaurant, and Mickey is charged with arson. And a Parma jewelry store says he doesn't know when he'll be able to reopen his business after a weekend vehicle crash. A police pursuit that began in Independence on Saturday night ended when the suspect crashed into the side of Curry's Jewelry on Snow Road. Sports and weather in just a moment.
If you're looking for a way to leave a legacy that will help many hear the gospel, consider including the Moody Bible Institute as a beneficiary within your will, trust, or other estate planning documents. This is a wonderful way to steward well and extend your partnership with Moody beyond your lifetime. To learn more about the benefits of remembering the Moody Bible Institute, Moody Radio, and your other favorite Christian ministries with a legacy gift, go to moodylegacy.org. That's moodylegacy.org.
In sports, bad news all around. The Bulls held off the Cavaliers 132-123 in double overtime. And the Blue Jackets fell to the Rangers 4-1. Here is your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny, much cooler with highs in the upper 30s. And our most recent check showed flurries in Cleveland, 25 degrees. Clear skies over Akron and Canton, just 19 degrees there. Lorraine and Lyria, clear and 24.
It's time for your moron moment.
Leap Day is an extra day that gets added to the calendar. During a leap year, which occurs every 4 years, Leap Day falls on February 29th, giving the shortest month of the year one extra day. If Leap Day was left off the calendar, the months during which we normally experience each season would eventually shift, and this would impact other aspects of life like growing and harvesting crops, for example. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:04. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine Studio. It's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
They look at business decisions and impose their positions. Without a doubt, they know what they're talking about. It's time for Pretend Experts.
Today's first story goes to Chicago.
All right.
The Bears. Hot dogs.
Is that how me or Eddie sound?
No, but I remember when my daughter was in she was in a little dance class.
Mm-hmm.
The lady goes up, and now the tiny tots are gonna dance. And we were like, what? The tiny tots. All right, in Chicago, it's the headquarters of Kellogg's.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Kellogg's CEO Gary Pilnick says people should eat cereal for dinner to save money on soaring food costs. He told CNBC last week that it's much more affordable and helps out when consumers are under pressure. Kellogg's has been pushing cereal for dinner since 2022 when it started a campaign with the tagline, "Give chicken the night off."
I haven't heard this campaign, but honestly, they're behind on the times. Everybody loves cereal for dinner.
It's not anything I ever did, but I've talked to a lot of people who do this.
I ate a lot of cereal for dinner in college because the cafeteria food was so bad. So, like, college kids are way ahead of this.
It's fortified. They've got vitamins in there.
Yeah, I mean, cereal is also not the cheapest, especially if you're buying the name brand now. And there's nothing wrong with cereal for dinner once in a while, but it's also not the best thing for you.
Do you think you'd ever, Lauren, like set up the table with 4 bowls, and like as the kids get older, obviously, and just pour cereal for everyone, pour some milk. Here's your dinner.
Sure, if I needed to.
If you needed to, yeah.
And I'm not trying to make dinner. I'm tired.
Ron, do you have cereal for dinner?
I can't remember having done that, but I'm sure in my younger years I did. And yeah, you don't get the name brand. You get the Aldi's knockoff, or even before Aldi's came into town, there was other people who had imitation Rice Krispies.
Oh, sure.
You get the giant bag of the Great Value knockoff cereal.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
There it is. Yeah. So we like this idea.
Sure.
Remember, they used to call it breakfast cereal, and now they just call it cereal.
Evening cereal.
Yeah, there's something where I need it to be hot, and I needed there to be like food groups in it.
I think it was Post that did the "It's Morning Somewhere" commercial a couple years ago.
Oh, that's
okay.
great.
Clever.
So we're agreeing with the experts. There we go. Okay. Here's a conundrum for you from New York. Trying to think. I did Chicago so well. Trying to think about New York now. Get out of here. Forget about it. It's New York. Okay. So over the past couple of years, get this. Lab-grown diamonds have been mass-produced, throwing the natural diamond industry into a crisis and changing the way we shop for jewelry. Is it true that they're your best friend, diamonds?
No.
Wow.
They don't talk very much.
Maybe that's why they're great friends. According to the Gemological Institute of America, lab-grown diamonds have the same chemical and physical properties as the mined versions. In 2019, the Federal Trade Commission determined that lab-grown diamonds are, in fact, real diamonds and do not need to be called synthetic.
Oh, that's interesting.
Since then, lab-grown sales shot up 38% and can cost anywhere from 75 to 90% less than natural diamonds. De Beers, the world's largest diamond producer and distributor, has cut the price of mined stones by as much as 25% due to the falling demand. We have lab-grown diamonds now that are cheaper, but they're still diamonds.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's fantastic.
But our fiance is going to I want a real diamond, not a lab one.
Did we talk about that here?
I don't know. My engagement ring is not real diamonds. Jimmy actually offered to replace it with real ones, and I didn't want that.
Can I ask what it is?
It's a specific quartz that's common to the area he grew up, so it has sentimental value for us,
Oh,
and
that's
they're
cute.
way cheaper. Yeah.
I mean, cubic zirconia is as cheap as you're going to get, but do you think people will still want it, though? They'll want to say they have a real mined diamond?
Yeah, I don't remember if it was here, but or maybe I read it or talked about it somewhere else. There was someone who said, I don't want my fiance getting me lab-grown diamonds.
Wow.
It has to be.
Expensive.
Yeah. It has to be the real ones.
I think you have to figure that out between the person you want to marry, and then we have to have conversations on what's actually important when we're getting engaged.
Right.
It's tough being a man, Ron.
Yeah.
They're always making us spend more.
Does the lab-grown diamond cut glass?
I don't know.
So they can't use that test against you?
Yeah, it's apparently chemically, like it is the same properties as diamonds. So yes,
Yes,
the
it
answer.
would.
Well,
what she doesn't know won't hurt her.
That's right.
I think it was an article. He was like, so should I just get her the lab-grown ones, just not tell her?
Can you even tell the difference? Like,
I don't think so.
Like, if an expert looked at them side by side, could you even tell the difference?
I don't know about an expert.
So what's to stop someone from saying, oh, yes, this is a mine diamond, and it's actually a lab-grown, because no one will know.
That's a good question. I mean, but for the Federal Trade Commission to say that they are in fact diamonds, they've got to be pretty close, if not identical.
Yeah.
The ones you find in like rocks and have to work real hard to make them look pretty.
And no South African children are risking their lives for your engagement ring.
There you go. Final story. A new survey of people in the United Kingdom going to England today finds that, check this out, 75% of workers have ignored a potential employer in the past year, as in Gen Z has the highest rate of ghosting prospective jobs. 9 out of 10 Gen Z British people admit to skipping an interview.
Oh, boy.
Like, you have an interview scheduled for a job and you don't show up. 9 out of 10 British people who Gen Z.
Wow.
Don't do that.
Must be
People
nice.
talk.
Can you believe it?
I mean, I can, but it's still shocking.
They must have plenty of job opportunities there. Because how can you have so many people just blowing off a job interview if you need a job? Unless you knew, I've got 3 other interviews this week.
I had one job interview I did where I went in and I knew I did not want this job. I was thinking about leaving teaching, and I went in. It was like to be a warehouse manager in Target distribution center overnight. I was like, oh boy, this is not for me. So I just threw the interview. I just said all the things you don't say. They didn't hire me, but I showed up. I mean, goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Apparently, it can go both ways. Nearly a quarter of workers say they've been given a verbal job offer only for the company to never contact them again.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Ooh.
You've heard of this?
Yeah, I know someone who was offered a job and then they rescinded the offer. 2 people, actually.
Did they call them and tell them they rescinded it?
I think so. And then when I've had a somewhat similar situation where someone, it seemed like they were going to offer me the job and then they just stopped contacting me.
What? What's wrong with people? The Gen Z British. I'd feel so bad if I skipped an interview.
Yeah.
I feel so guilty.
Yeah, I would at least want to call and cancel it for, if there's a good reason, or if it's just I'm no longer interested. Maybe say I found something else so that they don't feel like you're putting them down. But man.
So our business advice, actually show up to an interview. I know it sounds like rocket science over here, but yeah, that's what you ought to do.
Yeah, and if you're a business and you give a job offer, stand by it. If you rescind that job offer, that's egg on your face.
Exactly. You tell them, Ron. All right, 7:14. That's this week's edition of Pretend Experts. We got much more coming up. We got Dave Szfranski from 8 to 9 answering your financial questions. And there's a whole mess with the FAFSA system. We have a financial aid expert coming in about 15 minutes to talk about that issue for the college student in your life.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from Kingdom Story Company. From the creators of Jesus Revolution comes Ordinary Angels, inspired by the incredible true story of a hairdresser who single-handedly rallies an entire community to help a widowed father save the life of his critically ill young daughter. A film for the whole family with Hilary Swank and Alan Richson. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested. In theaters now. More information at ordinaryangels.movie.
Did you know the average person walks nearly 2,000 miles a year? Now think about the millions of children around the world who risk disease and miss out on opportunities simply because they walk those 2,000 miles without a decent pair of shoes. For the past 25 years, Buckner Shoes for Orphan Souls has provided more than 5 million pairs of shoes to kids in some of the most vulnerable communities in the world. That's over 5 million opportunities to put a smile on the face of a child and show God's love to boys and girls living in desperate situations. Many times, those shoes introduce families to Christ-centered programs, helping them rise above poverty and achieve their God-given potential. I'm Rob West, inviting you to provide shoes and share the love of Christ with children around the world and here in the United States. Find out how you can make an impact at GiveShoesToday.org. That's GiveShoesToday.org.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
WCRF. You may have heard people talking about the eclipse. I've heard it just kind of like, yeah, okay, it's happening. Interesting. Whatever. But when you take a moment to figure out what it is and how rare it is to be a total eclipse over Northeast Ohio, you start to see, oh, this is kind of a big deal. I mean, we as a team were able to watch with our friend David DeFelice from NASA. We watched the last one. It was like 2017 in Missouri was a total eclipse. And it was incredible. It's difficult to describe like how dark it gets. You actually heard the crickets start chirping in the background because they thought it was nighttime. And then when the camera goes up and shows what it looks like to have the sun totally eclipsed, it's incredible.
Yeah, so it gets really, really dark, and then there's a split second of total darkness where you can't see anything, and then you see just the rays of the sun just explode from behind the shadow of the moon.
It's just beautiful. And quite frankly, you know, Romans 1 is pretty obvious when Paul talks about, hey, just look around, essentially. The creation is one of the best evidences for the Creator.
Yeah.
And this is one of those where God is so consistent in his creation that we can calculate the exact second that it's going to happen this time. And it will come again over Northeast Ohio, don't worry, in like 2440.
Right.
And we'll be able to tell you exactly what time that'll be too. Yeah. Because that's how the whole thing works. It's incredible how God has fine-tuned the universe to look like this. And so in light of this really amazing event taking place, we had our friend David DeFelice and Jay Ryan, who've been on the show a number of times to talk about spacey type things, suggest that we join them for a big event they put together. And we're going to do it. So the morning of the eclipse, which the eclipse will be Monday, April 8th, again, Monday, April 8th, we're going to broadcast live from Hope Church in Brunswick. And so we'll be getting all warmed up for the whole thing.
Nice.
And you'll feel the buzz that day. People will be talking about it. And then we're going to be preempting Chris Fabry's program from 3 to 4 that day because the eclipse happens at like 3, what was it, 7, 13?
13, I believe.
And so we're going to cut in live locally and spend the hour with David DeFelice talking about the eclipse, getting you prepared for it. And it can kind of be your companion as you check it out with your family because we're going to be talking about how the eclipse will clearly point to God's glory. It'll be your Christian commentary, so to speak, for the eclipse. And you can join us if you're in the area. It's a whole event they have from noon to 5 p.m. at Hope Church in Brunswick. Again, we're going to be there broadcasting for the eclipse, but it's a free event, free parking, fun activities, food trucks, and all that. So you could be part of that with us. I think Sarah's going to bring the kids out there. It'll be great.
Cool. If you think about it, back in the 70s, Carly Simon's so vain friend had to fly his Learjet to Nova Scotia to see the total eclipse of the sun. And yet, here it is. We can watch it right from our own backyard.
Amen to that.
Because who's got a Learjet?
Part of that. Exactly. And it is not that common. I mean, Daria, you were saying the next one's going to be in Europe, right?
Yeah, about 4 years in Europe. The next one in the States, which is nowhere near Ohio, is going to be like 10, 15 years, something like that. I can't remember the exact date.
So you'd have to get a hotel, you'd have to travel, do the whole thing if you want to see it. And I didn't think there was that much of a difference between a partial and a total eclipse, but it's like from a different universe.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term, pun intended. But no, I mean, the total eclipse is like a dramatically different experience than a partial eclipse.
And David said this one is special because of how dramatic it's going to be. Like the shadow of the moon is going to be much bigger than it was in 2017. And I was looking online. There's going to be 13 states that are going to be experiencing the total eclipse. And the majority of the rest of the country is going to see at least a partial part of it because it's going to be just massive.
Well, yeah, and the Missouri video we saw, like the horizon, there was still light in the horizon.
Yeah, it was like sunrise at noon or whenever it was.
Right. And David thinks that this one's going to be so much bigger that there may be no light on the horizon because it goes so many miles wide. Just the way the angles and, all the math stuff. So I can't wait for this thing. And David said for a lot of people, it's a real spiritual experience because it displays God's power in such an incredible way. So check it out. We're going to be broadcasting live, again, during the eclipse right here on WCRF. Chris Fabry knows we're doing this. We didn't sneak it in front of him. He's applauding us. He's excited that we're doing it. And the morning show will be there getting ready for the whole thing. Can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. Again, do we have a key? I think we have a keyword set for this, don't we, Lauren?
Yeah, it's moon.
Yeah, text MOON if you want more information. MOON to 440-546-2255. Text MOON to Ron. No. Text MOON to 440-546-2255. And check it out. Again, you might be like me and you're like, man, whatever, eclipse. No, it's a big deal, guys. I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely incredible. On top of that, I got to make sure I remind you about our share campaign coming up because we need your financial support. In years past, I don't think we've necessarily reminded you long enough in advance or often enough, but this truly is a listener-supported ministry. If you're new to this radio station, I'm not kidding when I tell you it started in 1958. And because a group of Christians got together of no particular affiliation, they created a group called the Christian Radio Fellowship, WCRF. And this Christian Radio Fellowship said, we need the gospel proclaimed on radio here in Northeast Ohio. And not only did they organize and get all the licensing and the FCC stuff cared for, but they also got the funding raised. And they built the radio station, and they got community support. It's an incredible thing. This is a community-created radio station. that they then took 2 years of funding and went to Moody and said, would you like to take this over and bring your wonderful programming on this? And Moody was like, okay, yeah. And so we became one of the first owned and operated radio stations for the Moody Bible Institute outside of Chicago. And then in 1960, our good friend Bob Devine took over the morning show, or created the morning show. It wasn't even happening until then, because of the time the radio station was on.
Yeah, we didn't sign on till later.
It expanded over the years, the time that it was on. Bob started broadcasting the morning show in 1960, and he retired in 2000. Can you even believe it?
In broadcasting, that is unheard of.
It's totally unheard of.
It'd be like if Paul Harvey started at one station and stayed there and never became the national hero that he was, or, so many others. Broadcasting is the kind of industry that you start at a small station and you move around, and you might move up in markets, but then something happens and you get fired and you have to go down, and eventually you try to work your way to New York, LA, or Chicago. But Bob started in Cleveland, and he stayed in Cleveland, and he and Wanda built a marvelous life here. They raised their kids, and his legacy lives on even through what you find on Moody Audio with some of the programming that he did, the Nature Corner and those kind of things.
Yeah, and throughout his 40 years of ministry here on the morning show, so many families were transformed and had got the consistency of marching around the breakfast table, that this community maintained this radio station. Like, it was your grandma that gave, whether it was $10 or $10,000, to this radio station to keep it going. And that's been a legacy over time. And as time continues, if you talk to anybody who works in nonprofit ministry, generations change the way they give. So there's a lot of people wondering, how will nonprofits survive in the future? We're confident this community still believes in the power of the gospel over radio. Because guess what? You can't watch TV when you drive to work.
Yeah.
Radio still has tremendous value during a commute. And we're even expanding into things like YouTube, so you can watch this program again later on today, if you want to go back and listen to something again or share it with your friends. All that to say, we need your financial support. Whether it's a couple of bucks or it's thousands of dollars, whatever the Lord would guide you to do, we need your support. And remember, inflation affects us too. So if you're out there and you're like, hey, I'm a monthly giver, we're like, hi, thanks so much.
Yeah.
This year, would you consider increasing your gift? Just recognizing inflation has affected us as well. Every couple of years, we actually need you to do that to make sure that we can keep up with inflation ourselves.
Right.
And maybe you already give and you want to give a one-time gift because of a tax refund, or you're one of those people that calls on Thursdays to talk to Dave Szfranski, and you got all that money, you don't know what to do with it. Maybe you could consider a larger gift. We need matching gifts set up for this upcoming share campaign as well. Because for us to be on track, we need 25% of our goal reached by March 12th when we start. And then we need matching dollars to be able to motivate others to give. People love this stuff. They're like, hey, if you give $1, this other person has already donated money, and they'll match it. So your $1 becomes $2. Your 100 becomes 200. We need those folks to give. And so some of you got letters about that. Others of you have never done this before, but maybe you have the means to do it, whether it's $1,000 that you can give over the period of a year you want to be matched, because you can do a monthly gift, and we can make that a match. Or maybe you want to do $2,000 or $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. We need matching dollars. And if that's you, you can just text us here at Moody Radio Cleveland.
It doesn't have to just be personal either. We can work with a business, and maybe that will help you out tax-wise or other finances. Josh has got all that information right at his fingertips. So text in to 440-546-2255. And we can steer you to Josh, and he'll steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, it was not too long ago, Daria. You got the mail, and we had a wonderful donation from a company.
We did.
And it's so generous of companies to do that. Your company can do a matching gift for share. Collectivize all your people, pass the hat around, whatever you do. People pass hats anymore? I don't know if they do that.
Just Venmo to a collective account.
If you're old like Ron and me, you're going to take your hat off and you're going to put your money in there.
Right.
If you're young, you don't know what money is. You just have Venmo.
People out on the corners prop up their guitar case and have a QR code and say, just give it through sharing that way.
Either way, would you consider giving? Text SHARE to 440-546-2255. Text SHARE to 440-546-2255. And again, if you got those larger gifts for matches, just reach out to us by text or call, and our manager would love to talk to you about setting up that matching gift for SHARE. All right, it's 7:31. Speaking of finances, if anyone that's connected to you, whether it's a kid or grandkid or maybe yourself, FAFSA has been a hot mess this year. Mm-hmm. And most people fill out the FAFSA form for financial aid for college, and it's been a disaster zone. So we're bringing in somebody to help us understand what's going on. Her name is Pam, and she's Director of Financial Aid at Malone University. What's happened to FAFSA, and what do we need to know? She'll give some answers in just a few.
Dr. Tony Evans says our physical addictions have spiritual roots, explaining why human solutions can't break them. So what will? We'll find out as we spend 2 minutes with Tony.
You say, I got an alcohol problem. Well, you may not have an alcohol problem. What you may have is alcohol being infused by the devil, creating a stronghold that you call an addiction. That's the difference between an addiction and stronghold. An addiction means that I am being held hostage by a certain habit. A stronghold is I am held hostage by a certain habit that is now under satanic influence and control. A stronghold is where the spiritual enters into the thing, where the vulture descends and lands on the problem. When a demon descends and lands on the issue has now become a spiritual stronghold that cannot be fixed by normal activity. See, one of the reasons that we can't shake things that are wrong in our lives is we haven't figured out what the real cause is. And so the doctor can't fix it, the budget people can't fix it, the counselors can't fix it, and we bent over with this problem that we can't shake, even though we go to church, not realizing it was caused by the devil and kept by the devil and can only be cured spiritually. So we look for everything but the supernatural and the spiritual to fix what the devil has caused. And trust me, if the devil caused it, only Jesus can fix it.
Learn how prayer can help to break strongholds and defeat the devil. Check out Tony's CD series, Igniting Kingdom Prayer, available online at tonyevans.org. Then join us next time for 2 Minutes with Tony.
Moody Radio is thankful for the support from our listeners and Bridgeway Academy. Bridgeway specializes in flexible homeschool programs that give you the freedom to homeschool your way with a fully accredited homeschool program. Learn more at bridgewayacademy.com.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from businesses like Dutchman Hospitality Group. Christian recording artist Jason Gray on March 8th at 7 p.m. More information is at ohiostartheater.com. That's ohiostartheater.com.
Today's culture is slipping farther away from God's truth, and the church is in dire need of godly, well-trained Christian leaders rooted in God's Word. With your bachelor's degree in ministry leadership from Moody Bible Institute, you'll be equipped to tackle the challenges ahead. What's more, you can customize the program, choosing an emphasis that matches your passion, whether that's preaching, ministry to women, children, or family ministry. Learn more about this online degree program by going to moody.edu/ministry leadership.
Get out of the sheets and into the streets. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
7:39 WCRF Mornings with Brian. Walkworthy's coming up on Saturday. Can't wait to see you there, guys. Be sure to stop and say hello. It's not too late to get your ticket, whether you want to attend from home or in a group of guys. We have site licenses. Or get your own ticket to show up. Just a few left. Would love to have you join us. Text WALK to 440-546-2255. Well, if anyone in your life is near college, you've probably heard of FAFSA.
Yeah.
Or if you've been to college yourself or your kids went a long time ago, it's a thing that almost everybody fills out.
Right.
And it's been a bit of a mess this year. And helping us better understand that, we have a new friend here joining us today. She's Director of Financial Aid at Malone University here in Ohio. Pam Pustay, thanks for joining us, Pam.
Well, thank you for having me, Brian. I'm excited to be here.
So for those who aren't familiar with FAFSA or kind of forget, can you give us just the basics? What is FAFSA?
Sure. The FAFSA is a federal form that students complete, and it's basically the application for federal student aid.
So like if somebody wants to get a grant from the federal government, for example, or apply for loans or something, you have to fill this out, right?
Correct. Yes, you do.
Now, would there be somebody who would not need to fill out a FAFSA, or do you just recommend everybody does it?
I recommend that everyone complete the FAFSA. It's not just for federal student aid. Any student can complete the FAFSA, and it provides a gateway to financial aid not only from the federal government but from state agencies, private sources, private outside scholarships, as well as institutions themselves, the colleges themselves. So it's advantageous to the student and families to complete the FAFSA.
Yeah, it feels intimidating when you start, but from my experience, it wasn't that hard. If I recall, I could even connect to the IRS to get my tax information just zipped in there somehow. Does that sound familiar?
Correct. Yes, and you can do that too. In fact, it's required now. With the FAFSA simplification, families are required to transfer information directly from the IRS onto the FAFSA. Now, there are some instances where a family to do that, and they have to input the information manually. But initially, they have to try to transfer the information from the IRS, and that's actually a big help.
Oh, it's a huge help. I don't want to have to go find my tax forms from last year and go input all the data. It's much easier that way. So now, there was a significant delay this year in rolling out the revised FAFSA form. So first of all, why did they revise it?
Well, in 2020, Congress passed a law that required enormous changes to the processes used to award federal financial aid. The first was the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA form, to make it easier to complete. They called it the simplified FAFSA. At the time, Congress provided no additional funds to help roll out the new FAFSA. The Department of Education was just simply overwhelmed with trying to institute so many FAFSA changes all at once into what they said was a 40-year-old system. Along with implementing the FAFSA changes, the Department of Education was also working to revamp the entire student lending system. Some would say maybe big ambitions with limited resources contributed to the problems that we're seeing now. The Department of Education also had to fix a $1.8 billion mistake in the FAFSA calculation that determined the Student Aid Index, or the SAI, for students. Left uncorrected, this mistake could have especially hurt lower-income students and even discouraged some students from enrolling in college. Fixing the calculation helped students qualify for as much financial aid as possible, but it also caused further delays in the FAFSA rollout.
So now, when typically would someone have been able in years past to fill out the FAFSA and have it submitted to universities?
October 1st.
And they have, and like now it's not even out yet, is that correct?
Well, they rolled it out. By law, it had to be available by January 1st. The department did roll it out by January 1st, but they found that there was a myriad of problems with it as students and families tried to complete the FAFSA. So from the back end, they were trying to fix these problems that sort of popped up that they didn't anticipate. In the meantime, the department, they process the FAFSA information from the student, and then they transmit that to the schools that the student requested receive their information. Well, that has been delayed until the middle of March. We have not received any FAFSA information, nor has any other school from students. So we can't offer a financial aid award letter until we have that information from the Department of Ed. So students may not receive financial aid offer until April or later this year.
Oh. So now what's the, somebody might go, oh, big deal, it's a delay. What does that mean practically speaking for families in terms of that type of delay?
Well, we're looking at something that may not be available to students until April or May. Many colleges have a May 1st deadline for their decision. Oh. And still others, students may decide this is just taking too long. I'm not going to deal with it this year. I'll wait and delay college until next year when they finally have all of these things ironed out. Or my biggest concern is that students will just say, well, you know what, I couldn't afford college anyway, so I'm just not even going to bother with it.
So what's been your recommendation to families who are interested in going to Malone in terms of, are you recommending just wait a little while to make a decision?
I am. I'm just telling them, be patient. Just ride this out. The ship will be righted, and we'll be fine. Malone, along with many other schools, have extended their decision day for students. No longer it's May 1st. We've extended that to June 1st. So, and for Malone, our students, no one is not going to be able to start school in fall or this summer because they don't know what their financial aid offer will be. We'll make sure that those are out, and we'll do everything that we can to shield our students and parents from any negative impacts of this delay.
Now, as folks finally get their chance to fill out the FAFSA form, what's one of the more common mistakes you see people making?
Well, yeah, I get that question a lot, and what I always say is the most common mistake is not completing the FAFSA at all. Any mistake when completing the FAFSA can be corrected. There's nothing that can't be fixed. Additionally, every student would qualify for at least federal student loans. Now, I understand that many students and their families don't want to utilize federal loans, and that's perfectly okay. They have every right to decline those loans. However, the student may still qualify for federal work study, which provides part-time work, typically on campus, for students that allow them to earn money to help pay for educational expenses or for additional institutional aid from the school.
Wonderful. You've been listening to a conversation with Pam Pustay. She is Director of Financial Aid at Malone University. Our producer Lauren and I had a chance to visit your university just a few days ago to do an interview with Professor Bryson Davis. Had a wonderful time. If folks want more information about Malone University, if they're listening right now, how can they learn more?
Well, certainly our website, malone.edu, is available. And also call us. Call our admissions department. They'll be happy to schedule a campus visit for you, or just stop by. Come visit the campus if you're close by.
Wonderful. Pam, thank you again so much. Please give our best to your colleagues there, and we'll hopefully talk to you again someday soon.
I will do that. Thank you so much, Brian.
You bet. 7:48 now on WCRF.
Go Pioneers.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free. day.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838. That's 1-800-659-9838.
Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the Word of God. It's a nice verse, but here's the thing. You will never learn to correctly handle the Word of God unless you are in the Word. At Moody Radio, we welcome you, invite you, urge you to get into the Word so the Word can get into you. Start at todayintheword.org. Todayintheword.org.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Dave, I'm afraid I can't do that.
With my Wilderness Explorer GPS. Boop, beep, 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 boop, boop.
All right, I got tech news for you guys. Turns out conventional wisdom on what to do if your phone gets all wet is wrong.
No way.
Don't put it in rice?
No. It turns out putting your iPhone in rice when it gets wet might not be effective. As in, Apple says you can get small rice particles into it and damage your phone.
That makes sense.
They actually now have a notification that comes on if you try to charge it and it's wet. It'll tell you, wet alert, unplug it. I just got that recently because I was in the barn trying to fill up animal water and ended up dumping it on myself.
Oh, wow.
That's not good.
I lifted it up and just all over myself. It was pretty embarrassing. But it all turned out okay. I just didn't put it in rice.
It all worked out.
I've used the rice trick for years.
You're not supposed to, Ron. It's terrible. Don't do that. Next one, Gen Z, as all of us stare at Daria. Apparently, the latest trend in Gen Z is to switch their phone to Do Not Disturb all day.
Yep. I got a couple friends that do that.
What?
Yeah. They don't want to be bothered, I guess.
So it's in Do Not Disturb, so you can't call them, you can't text them until they decide they want to see if you've done so.
Right.
Ron?
My phone, I have the sound off on it, so I'm almost to that point. There's a buzz, but, if my phone isn't on me or right next to me, I wouldn't hear it or feel it.
Daria, do you like this idea? It seems rude to me.
I mean, no one's entitled to your time, and I think that's where this philosophy comes from.
Whoa.
I mean, I don't know if it's rude. It's just, it makes it really difficult to get a hold of someone if you need to.
All right, final story. Turns out AirPods. Either of you have AirPods?
No.
No.
I do.
I've got earbuds, whoops. I can smack my microphone too. Wired, wireless earbuds, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so AirPods, turns out they can stand up to stomach acid for at least 9 hours. How do we know that?
Yes.
Because someone swallowed one.
Oh, no.
Because a poor gal named Mo Kennedy swallowed one of her earbuds in her sleep.
How do you do that?
And get this, it worked just fine in her stomach and after her emergency endoscopy to remove it.
How did they know it worked in her stomach?
She probably cranked it up and played some music and was like, oh, listen, there it is. Gurgle, gurgle. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, that is interesting.
So,
wow.
If you swallow your earbuds, fear not. They're fine.
It's all going to work out.
It's all going to work out. 7:56 on WCRF. Get your financial questions in. Dave Szfranski will be here in a matter of moments to answer them. 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
answer your financial questions. It's time. Get those in now. We're starting to see them pop in. We've got an hour with David, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. Text or call with your questions, 440-546-2255, 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The Supreme Court will decide whether former President Trump can claim immunity over election interference charges. It's 8 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. In a brief order, SCOTUS said it would hear arguments and issue a ruling. The case is currently on hold, so no trial can happen. The hearing will take place the week of April 22nd and could take months to resolve. Olmsted Township's fire chief is under investigation. The investigation comes after Fire Chief Christopher Methvin was placed on indefinite paid administrative leave last week. Details surrounding the investigation, including why Methvin was put on leave, have not been made public. And police say 2 people are injured following a crash involving a bus in Struthers. The crash happened Wednesday at the intersection of 5th and Elm Streets when a car and a Western Reserve Transit Authority bus collided. Sports and weather in just a moment.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from Kingdom Story Company. From the creators of Jesus Revolution comes Ordinary Angels, inspired by the incredible true story of a hairdresser who single-handedly rallies an entire community to help a widowed father save the life of his critically ill young daughter. A film for the whole family with Hilary Swank and Alan Richson. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested. In theaters now. More information at ordinaryangels.movie.
In sports, the Bulls held off the Cavaliers 132-123 in double overtime. I bet they were tired after that. And the Blue Jackets fell to the Rangers 4-1. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast, updating to share about visibility rapidly dropping to 1/4 mile, up to 1 to 2 inches of quick snow accumulation in the snow belt. So be prepared for that if you haven't already looked out your window. Otherwise, becoming mostly sunny today, much cooler with highs in the upper 30s. At last check, we had light snow, 25 degrees. In Cleveland, Akron and Canton, clear skies, 19 degrees. And in Lorain, Elyria, it is cloudy and 24.
It's time for your moron moment.
Leap Day is an extra day that gets added to the calendar. During a leap day, a leap year, which occurs every 4 years, Leap Day falls on February 29th, giving the shortest month of the year one added day to try to catch up with the others. If Leap Day was left off the calendar, the months during which we normally experience each season would eventually shift. This would impact other aspects of life too, such as growing and harvesting of crops. And that's your Moron Moment.
Moron.
And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:03. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine studio, it's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Opinions expressed during this program represent the opinions of the participants and is given for informational purposes only. Any information provided is not intended to replace professional advice for your specific situation.
It's time. David Szfranski's here, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, ready to answer your financial questions. 440-5...
Almost.
It was close this week.
You were so close.
I stumbled on a number. It was over. 440-546-2255.
Close. My sister's listening today. She just had knee surgery. Her name is Mary Beth.
Hey, Mary Beth.
And I've been calling her Mary for her whole life. She finally said like 4 months ago, that's not my name.
Oh, so she's got a double-barrel first name.
Yeah.
Mary Beth.
And she requires everybody to call her the whole thing, which I think is haughty. I mean, isn't it? It's haughty.
I mean, I don't know. If you got 2 first names, I feel like you could pick one just to shorten
What are
things
you,
up.
royalty?
Yeah,
royalty?
I feel like I could call her Beth.
We never called her Beth. We just called her...
But you could.
We could.
It's her name.
I should start calling her Beth.
So now she also has a middle name.
I don't know.
You know?
This guy.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Did your parents call her Mary?
I don't remember.
Because if that's what you were taught, it's not your fault.
So. I mean, nobody ever corrected me until and I'm 45-ish.
Yeah.
No one corrected me until 3 months ago.
Is this the sister that you broke her leg with a pillow?
It is.
Oh.
Yes.
Lauren doesn't know about that.
We had a pillow fight in Tennessee just a few years ago, and I was on the balcony and I threw a pillow at her, and I broke her leg. We were making fun of her.
Knocked her over?
She's very delicate.
Yeah, she's very delicate. And she said, I think my leg is broken. And we were making fun of her, because when we were kids, my mom and dad would buy a box of Band-Aids, and she would have the whole box of Band-Aids, literally the whole box of Band-Aids on her. And so she's kind of a hypochondriac. And so we made fun of her. And sure enough, her leg was broken.
Oh, my goodness.
From a pillow fight.
Well, Mary,
so bad.
Glad to have you here.
Yes.
Be careful when you listen to the radio. You might fall down and get hurt. It's not our fault if you do. That's part of that disclaimer, I think.
Yeah, and my other sister, I chopped her finger off.
Other than that, he's a great brother.
Just the little one. I mean, it's not a big deal.
You don't need that one.
You just hold it out when you drink tea.
So glad I don't have brothers.
We found the finger. They sewed it back on. Admittedly, it does look a little torqued up.
It all worked out.
It all worked out. The finger's fine.
I don't know about that.
440-546-2255. Financial questions for David Szfranski.
Can someone with widower benefits also get Social Security disability benefits?
Oh,
boy, that's a Rob question, isn't
yes.
it?
Mm-hmm.
It probably is a Rob question, but I do believe the answer is yes, because disability is based on you. And the widower benefit is not so what's going to happen is you're going to have to make a choice between the higher payment, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably going to be the disability payment.
Okay.
But it is, people think that Social Security is this nebulous system that you won't get any answers from, and they think that because basically it is. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't set up an appointment and call, because you could do online. You could just call. You don't have to go to a Social Security office.
Mm-hmm.
But Rob Fenn, our friend who's on the show, he's got all the answers. And if he's listening, he can call and give the official answer to that. 440-546-2255. Debbie in Canton, where our men's conference is on Saturday. Debbie, what's your question for Dave?
I have a question. We have a will, but people talk about that we should have a trust. Can you tell me the advantages of each, or if that isn't something you cover?
Well, I could talk about that because I deal with estate planning all the time in my professional life. And a will is your ticket into probate court. It's very public. You're going to have an executor or executrix, if it's a female, and they're going to actually walk out your will for you after you've assumed room temperature. So if
But it still has to go through probate.
It still has to go through probate.
Which can take?
Well, it could take months. I mean, it could take a long time, depending on if there's anyone contesting the will. So if somebody says, well, Brian died, and right before he died, he promised me he was going to give me that donkey. And I see in the will it's given to somebody else, and I'm going to fight that.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't have any assets, but I do. I have a donkey.
Mm-hmm.
assets.
And the goats.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
I didn't even mean to.
But a trust is your ticket out of probate court. So a trust is very private. And it's nobody knows what's in a trust until the trust is dispersed, and you don't have to treat people fairly in a trust. Now, some people, for a while, everybody, it was like a big trust movement. Everybody had to have a trust. And you don't necessarily have to have a trust. If you have assets that are
sizable assets.
Well, not even sizable, but somewhat substantial. Or if you just don't want to go through probate court.
So it keeps you out of probate court.
Keeps you out of probate court. Now, everybody who has a trust is also going to have a will. Everybody who has a will is not necessarily going to have a trust. There's things that you could do. Let's say that you had a house, a 401k, and a couple of IRAs. Well, on your IRAs and your 401k, you're going to have a named beneficiary. That does not go through probate court. Anything with a named beneficiary escapes probate court. Life insurance has a named beneficiary. Annuities have a named beneficiary. So you can escape probate court. Now, let's say that that's all you had was the house and those assets. You could set up your house with a transfer on death deed, and that will escape probate. So the moment you assume room temperature, the people named on that transfer on death deed will actually own your house, and they get stepped up basis, and they get all the tax benefits of an inheritance.
It doesn't have to go through a trust.
It doesn't have to go through a trust or probate. So not everybody needs a trust. Now, if you went to the Los Angeles County Courthouse in Los Angeles, California, and you looked up John Wayne's estate, you could see exactly what he died with and who had it and who got it and all that stuff, because he died with a will. And wills are a matter of public record. So some people don't like that. I have a trust because of a variety of reasons, but also because it's private. I like that. I like the privacy aspect of it.
But can't people search for your will or the trust?
They can't not search for the trust because it's a private document.
Oh.
They can't search for the will, and what the will is going to say is anything that was meant to be in the trust but wasn't goes into the trust. So they'll see, maybe if I forgot to put my my Lamborghini in the trust, they would have seen that.
The Lamborghini lawnmower.
Yes, it goes 50 miles an hour. It cuts grass at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah. Prince didn't have a will. The artist, when he died.
Yeah, so you die
it's
what's
a disaster.
Called intestate, and the court is going to decide who gets what, and that is...
It's a nightmare for families. You need a will.
You should have a will. You should absolutely, at the very least, have a will. There's a story about, you guys weren't here then, but in the flats, there was this boat, and they were at Shooter's restaurant downtown on the river, and the boat blew up. Everybody died on the boat except this little baby Chucky, got thrown out of the boat and into the river. And there was a fireman right there, and he dove into the river and saved baby Chucky.
Whoa.
I know. And baby Chucky became an instant multi-millionaire because his parents owned an aircraft company called Millionaire. And it was worth multiple millions of dollars. Well, now baby Chucky owned that because he was the sole survivor. Family members fought over baby Chucky for quite some time because there was a lot of money. Baby Chucky was worth a lot of money.
So they were fighting over custody so they could have control of the assets.
Yes. And potentially loved baby Chucky. I don't really know. And I don't know what the final disposition of the estate was, but that's what happens when you don't have a will.
Get a will.
Get a will.
Because where there's a will,
there's a way.
Mm-hmm. 440-546-2255. Time for a quick break. When we come back, more of your financial questions for David Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. 440-546-2255.
It's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. This is why so many people are joining MediShare right now. MediShare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly health care costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. MediShare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
For some, Moody Radio is a friendly companion. For others, it's much more.
Moody Radio is my lifeline as far as keeping my eyes on Jesus. Just kept me going forward, steadfast in Jesus. So I just appreciate it so much.
Your financial support means Moody Radio will be there for others who need a lifeline.
Learn more at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Mornings.
Megabyte download service in the middle of the jungle, Brian.
Yeah, I remember we were FaceTiming while you were on the Amazon River in a boat.
And I'm going to do that again this year when we go. I'm going to be on the show from the Amazon. This village that we're going to is the farthest we've ever been in the jungle. I went there last November. It's just incredible to see the technology that we have now. We were making phone calls from the middle of the jungle like we were sitting here. It was incredible.
Speaking of phone calls, got a special call for Dave. Mary Beth wants you to know that her parents did indeed call her Mary Beth, and she does not have a middle name.
It was just you.
She doesn't have a middle.
It's just me.
Actually, then
So
technically,
it can't even be said that your parents called her that, so you were just doing what you were told. You're just being rude.
I don't know if I believe her.
It's her name.
She's always been kind of a stretcher of the truth.
do you have a middle
my
name?
gosh.
I do have a middle name.
Do your other siblings have a middle name?
Yes.
So it sounds to me like her middle name is Beth.
Why are you siding with Dave on this?
Exactly right. My brother was going to be named Anthony Scott Szfranski, but then his initials would be ASS. So they said Scott Anthony Szfranski. And
so now he's Sass.
I have a sister named Peggy. I have no idea what her middle name is. We used to call her Geppy. I don't know why, but it made her really mad, so it stuck.
So you did it.
I just have to be honest. If your name's Mary Beth Szfranski, let's just say.
Yeah, let's say that's your
no
name.
middle name. There actually is one. It's Beth.
Yes.
440-546-2255. What's that look about?
I'm just surprised that you're agreeing with Dave right now.
Why
we agree sometimes.
We absolutely agree.
Look at us. We're like best friends.
We believe that we agree that Mayor Phil is like one of the nicest people we've ever met.
That's true.
And he's a great mayor too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the city
That's
runs
something
perfectly.
we all agree upon, not just you guys.
Well, there you go. 440-546-2255.
When filing bankruptcy, do I need to provide passwords to all my accounts? They claim the judge will need them.
Oh, interesting.
I've never heard of that before.
Well, but I mean, you have to prove your assets, right?
You have to prove a lot of things. You know, when I was in the Army, I would run the PT test. And somebody came up to me one time and they said, "What's the minimum I have to do?" And I said, "Soldier, wrong question. Wrong question. What's the maximum?" I got to admit to you, I don't like answering questions about bankruptcy because I want you to find another way if possible. Now, I understand it's the law. You can use it. But it seems to me that people kind of pull this trigger really quick sometimes. And I have sat down with people who came into my office and said, "We're here just to learn how to declare bankruptcy." And I said, "Slow your roll. We're not doing it. We're not talking about that."
And he actually says that to people.
I do say that to people.
He's an older man and he says, "Slow your roll."
I'm 45-ish for those who are wondering.
We actually know how old you really are. We did some
research.
research.
Don't. You do not know. Daria was wrong. Daria, how old do you think I am?
You are 64.
She said, you are 64. You are the winkest link. Winkest?
Good morning, Dave.
Lauren and I we did some research.
We did some research.
We know how old you are.
How old am I?
Keep that close to the chest.
Yeah, we're not going to reveal it yet.
Mary Beth will confirm that I'm not 64. I'm much younger.
She's welcome to call back in.
Mary? She will. Mary.
Mary, this is your way to get him back because he lies to us. This is your way to get it back.
Call, Mary.
Saying 45-ish is not a lie. It's
Okay,
just
Dave.
a roundabout number. But so people come in and they're like, well, we want to declare bankruptcy. And I say, well, let's work on a budget first. Let's just see if it's something that we have to do. And sometimes you do have to do it. There's no doubt. I don't know about the passwords. I hate bankruptcy. I hate putting people through that. If there's a way that I could get around that, if you could scrape your face on some broken glass for a couple of years and just pay things off and
figuratively, of course.
Yeah, financially. I would rather do that because you're going to be in pain no matter which direction you choose here. Be in pain your way. That's how I would do it. So I would work so hard not to declare bankruptcy. I just would. Okay. If it were possible.
But now so this person's in this situation, the judge wants the password. That doesn't seem right to me.
It doesn't seem right to me.
Because you can prove your assets in another fashion.
You could just, you're in court. If you lie in court, you've committed perjury. Now, some people don't think that's a big deal. I happen to being a person of strong moral fiber, I think that is a big deal. So
Mary Beth is calling. No, she's not, but she would.
She knows I believe in the truth. I seek the truth.
It's true.
Yeah, I do all the time. And you don't lie in court. You just don't lie in court. You're testifying to the fact that you can't pay these bills. You could print off statements. You could have letters. I don't think giving passwords is probably.
I'd say consult an attorney.
Well, listen, if you go to court without an attorney, any court, you're making a big mistake. You've got to take an attorney. They know how the system works. And judges will punish you when you show up without an attorney because
watch Judge
attorneys.
Judy.
They're attorneys. So that they were, before they were judges, they were attorneys. They know how their bread is buttered. Don't show up in court without an attorney.
There you go.
What is Dave's outlook on gold prices and his opinion on investing in gold?
Gold is kind of a funny thing because we have pretty high inflation. And this morning, the Federal Reserve's, prepare yourself, the Federal Reserve's favorite inflation gauge is coming out. And you know who looks at that? Chair Powell looks at that.
Yeah.
The PCE, the personal consumption expenditures measure comes out. And if it's hot, the rate cuts are further pushed off. I have been saying for a long time, there is not going to be 6 rate cuts this year. It's impossible. And sure enough, there's not going to be 6 or 7 or maybe even 2. But, the way I look at gold and precious metals, and that's the category I put it into, just precious metals, it's an asset class. It could be up to 7 to 10% of your portfolio. But it's strange to me because we had super high inflation. I mean, really high inflation. We still have high inflation. It's just inflating at a slower pace, but we still have high inflation. And gold hasn't gone to $5,000 an ounce like we thought it would. Now, Bitcoin has skyrocketed this year. It went from $17,000 to like $64,000 a coin. I still believe it's a Ponzi scheme. I don't own it. I don't recommend people own it, but people are definitely making money in it. And it's odd to me that gold hasn't just skyrocketed. Why not? It's the hedge against inflation. I'll tell you why I think. Because let's say that you own gold and Lauren, you say, you say to Eddie, can you give me a bar of gold? I'm going to the grocery store. And you almost need a bar of gold to go to the grocery store.
True.
Nobody at the register is taking your bar of gold. So,
you could do a shaving. You could just...
Like you would have a...
like a knifey.
A plane, a little plane, a little gold plane.
But that still probably wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work. So is it for Armageddon? Is it for nuclear war? Do you keep it in your bunker? I don't think that the people who've invested gold and sold us on gold for years and years ever really thought that out. They were just selling a product. Whereas Bitcoin, you could technically transact with Bitcoin. There were, for a while, you could buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. You can't anymore. For a while, you could buy a ticket on British Airways. Not anymore. So, I don't...
So you're saying probably not gold right now?
Well, I don't know that I would buy gold right now because technically it should be at its high. If we're bringing inflation down, the price of gold should be coming down here. But it didn't follow the rules on the way up. So will it follow the rules on the way down? If you wanted to have precious metals, and I like industrial metals better because they're a better reflection of the economy. So platinum, palladium, silver,
Unobtainium.
Yes. As some investment advisors are living on hopium, hoping that the Fed cuts rates and that Jerome Powell will finally cooperate. And at some point, he is. At some point, they are going to lower rates a little bit lower. But it's just not right now. You have really low unemployment. According to the government, the economy's growing. Why would they cut rates into this? They wouldn't. It would be stupid to cut rates into this. So they're not.
How's adamantium doing right now? Pretty good?
Oh, yeah. It's my favorite precious antium.
How does it sell to work your life insurance policy? And when is that something to consider?
How does it work to sell your life insurance policy? So these are called viatical settlements. And generally, this is how it works the best.
You've had stuff in your brain that I just don't even know. Like how often does that word come out?
Viatical settlement?
Yeah.
Whenever I eat Taco Bell, I don't know.
That's crazy. That was in there. Go ahead. So it's a viatical settlement.
A viatical settlement, and these things got popular. In fact, when you buy a life insurance policy now, they will ask, one of the questions is it your intention to sell this? Because they won't issue it. So if you already have, after 2 years, you can do whatever you want with your life insurance policy, but they work the best the older you are and the sicker you are. The closer to death that you are, the more compelling that is to a viatical settlement company. And they will indeed pay you cash for your life insurance policy. So let's say you got a $1 million life insurance policy and you've got a diagnosis and you're going to live 5 years or less. They will give you, I don't know, maybe $500,000 for it, because the rate of return is the difference between what the payoff is and what they give you, so they can make money off of it.
So they'd actually make money when you die.
Yes.
So they don't like change the name on it. They're just purchasing it from you.
Yeah, you have to name them the beneficiary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so and they'll continue to pay it. You don't have to pay it anymore. In essence, and you know what a lot of people do is, let's say that you had, I don't know, how many kids you have, Brian? 11?
I lost count.
Okay. Do you have any kids named Mary Beth?
No, if I did, it would be the middle name Beth, first name Mary.
That's right.
I'll tell you that.
So let's say you had 6 kids. Yeah, somewhere close.
I have 5, yeah.
Okay, 5. And you take out a bunch of life insurance because you're afraid if you die that Sarah will have to remarry quickly and badly to make ends meet.
It wouldn't be hard to find someone with more assets, I'll tell you that.
So you have a lot of life insurance, and then the kids are all grown, your house is paid off, but you still have this life insurance. You don't need it anymore. Well, you could sell a portion of it.
You could sell it, wow.
Yeah, and so a lot of people do that, but you got to be generally over 60, and it does work. It's real.
So who do you talk to if you want to sell it?
People like me. We have specialty companies. Specialty companies that all they do is viatical settlements.
Viatical. I thought it was vascular for a minute in my head.
Yeah, it's called a viatical settlement.
Varicose settlement.
Varicose vein settlements.
Yes.
We got to take a break.
We do.
I got a little cold, guys. So
you do. You're coughing a lot.
If I laugh, I cough.
There's disinfectant
difficult.
spray if you want to spray them down, Dave.
Stop being so funny,
spray
Dave.
me down.
I know.
Spray me down.
440-546-2255.
This is FEBC Today with Ed Cannon, the president of the Far East Broadcasting Company.
We're going to talk about Thailand today. It's a country of very many Buddhist people, very few Christians. Very difficult country to take the gospel to. But yet FEBC is broadcasting on almost 30 FM stations all around the country, and we're getting tremendous responses from our listeners, just like this one.
I went to Bangkok with my husband to find work. While there, I was in a car accident and could not work anymore. Then my husband left me, and I had to go home to live with my mother. I have many fears: fear of darkness and fear of people. I didn't want to see anyone. Then I started listening to FEBC radio programs. The radio is now my best friend. I hear the good news of Jesus and follow him every day.
Once again, that comes to us from Thailand. Anything that she said strike you, Ed?
2 things in particular, Wayne. 1, that the radio was her best friend. But 2, because she was afraid of darkness and people. How many of us that are listening to the radio have some inner fears of being around too many people, or we're afraid of the darkness? The radio penetrates all those things. While you can be alone, you can still have a friend in the radio. And while you can be in the darkness, the radio speaks hope into your life because it's filled with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Content is king when the king is in the content.
You've said that for a long time, and I believe it. Thanks for listening. This is FEBC Today. You can hear us online as well at febc.org. Join us there, febc.org.
Walkworthy takes place this Saturday in Canton, Ohio, and online. Have you signed up to be at this year's conference for men? If not, what are you waiting for? Join the men from Moody Radio Cleveland for the ministry of Mark Joe, James Ford, and Nick Gatsky, helping you to achieve your highest calling as a man. Walkworthy, Saturday, March 2nd. Register now. Text WALK to 440-546-2255 or go to moodyconferences.com.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from Kingdom Story Company. From the creators of Jesus Revolution comes Ordinary Angels, inspired by the incredible true story of a hairdresser who single-handedly rallies an entire community to help a widowed father save the life of his critically ill young daughter. A film for the whole family with Hilary Swank and Alan Richson. Rated PG, parental guidance suggested. In theaters now. More information at ordinaryangels.movie.
Armando vacilón, Armando rumba en la calle, Armando la gozadera, Armando tiene la clave, Armando vacilón, Armando rumba en la calle, Armando la gozadera.
Why are we doing that? Because Dave calls himself Armando whenever he submits an order and they ask for a name.
I'm basically Spanish.
Well, part of it is because I'm just ignoring that part, especially because everyone's named Dave.
Everyone's named Dave.
Special greeting to David's sister, Mary.
Hi, Mary Beth.
Be careful with her if you know her. If you hit her with a pillow, she might break her leg.
Very fragile.
Very fragile.
Is it
woman.
that she's fragile or that Dave's aggressive?
My sister's legs break and their fingers fly off around me. So
Yeah, the common denominator there is you. So
it is me.
So
all right. Well, we'll go to line 1 here. I've been told that we need to start with Jason. Hey, Jason, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing today, sir?
Good.
Hey, I just want to thank you and Dave, man. Just like I will always, listen to you guys, and sometimes I'll call in to speak on different subjects. I'm just thankful today. I just want to let both of you guys know that, but Dave, like you really helped. You don't know how much you helped me out these last 7 years. I've been home from prison for 7 years, and in the beginning of listening to you, a couple of like things you said about saving money and not filing bankruptcy and stuff. I was really against you, but it was from being immature. I didn't understand things, but then after listening and learning about pensions and 401k, just about 3 years ago, I started off in a temp agency, went from a temp agency to a food corporation company, was working in there. I became an area lead in there, and then after that, they wound up getting me into the union pension.
Oh, wow.
And so doors was opening up for me in other areas a few years after that. And then that's when I started calling you up, asking you and Brian if it was wise to go from a union pension to going working in the steel mill and having a 401k. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. The only thing that I was able to do is, like, I just knew the Bible said, blessed is the man who sit not in the counsel of the ungodly. So I had to look for someone to talk to about these things. And Dave, you was there. And now here, 7 years later, I'm a truck driver. I go all across the world, all across the country, and I'm not living paycheck to paycheck anymore.
I love it. You know what we did, though? God just kind of lined us up. And you proved to yourself that you could do it. We were just the conduit for exactly what God wanted to lay on your heart at the time.
That's right.
And you proved to yourself that you could do it, and that confidence that you have, that the things that you changed about yourself, the savings patterns, the income patterns, the dedication to something, those are all things that you did. And God allowed that to happen because he just aligned this meeting. And, you know, I love to hear these success stories because I'm sure there's a lot of them that we'll never hear. We're never going to have the pleasure of a lot of people calling up like he is. But I got to tell you, that is exactly why I do this, because I know that given the right set of circumstances, given the right godly advice, that he will continue to prove to himself and to other people around him. And I don't really care what other people think about me, I'll be honest. But he has proved it to himself that he is 100% capable of doing this after coming out of prison, changing his life. And I always tell people, if I could do this, if I could, and I've had a lot of help along the way, and I am blessed to be married to a godly woman who is also very good with money and running budgets and things like that. And she's extremely good at that. And I've been blessed with that. And I've learned a lot from her. But if I could teach people that, if I could give them just one piece of advice to hang on to and build their life around financially, the rest will take care of itself. And that's exactly what he did.
And
so he did it all.
It's proof that your advice works, too, because to go from incarcerated to being financially stable and having a great job is pretty awesome.
It is awesome.
So way to go, Jason. And I'm most excited that he's given me any credit at all.
Well, I wondered about that. So there's one weakness in his argument.
If you're on the live stream, you saw the face that Lauren gave Brian.
I said, not you.
And Dario was like, what? Brian? Yeah. But no, we've been doing this, Dave, if you can believe it, over 8 years now together.
I remember.
So his story of 7 years ago makes sense.
Right. We met at a Starbucks over here, and I made you and Scott Cruz buy me coffee because you had punished me one time in Chicago with like a $14 cup of coffee.
I met you for coffee there knowing that we didn't have space for you in the schedule.
You were such a jerk, too.
And I got a really expensive coffee.
I don't remember who referred me to you. I think it was
our friend Steve Hiller, who now hosts the morning show in Nashville.
So Steve said, "So how was your meeting?" I'm like, "Well, he's a little abrupt."
I think I had talked to you for a while. It was hot. I had to let it cool off.
Yeah,
while I drank it.
Yeah,
a frappuccino. You had to let it cool off.
No, it was like a mocha choca.
It was the longest drink that you could order at Starbucks.
Yeah, I was like, let's see, what's the most expensive thing? I'll take 2, thanks. It's on him.
And also, you can't come on our show.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
I did tell him that. But listen, look at how the Lord worked it out.
That's right.
Eventually, the Lord knew from that meeting and my delicious, expensive coffee.
Yes.
It was all going to work out.
It was the Starbucks.
This friendship, and Jason would be helped.
It was a Starbucks under the blue line right there, right by Moody. Right by the bookstore.
Chicago and Franklin, yeah.
The brown line, Dave, please.
Is it the brown line?
Yeah, it is.
I don't care.
440-546-2255.
Can you do a transfer on death on your house if it still has a mortgage?
Yes.
But then that person becomes responsible for the mortgage?
A lot of mortgages require you to take out mortgage insurance now. I just have to see the mortgage if you have mortgage insurance. But, you know, the bank is going to get paid. So what happens is when you inherit a house with debt and you inherit the debt, what most people do, they're not going to live in that house. They're going to sell the house at stepped-up basis and pay off the debt if there is stepped up, if there's a basis to step up to, assuming that.
I like steps.
You, trust me, stepped-up basis is one of the best tax laws out there. And what happens when you inherit things, let's say that I bought a stock at $2. Like Apple stock in the 90s was like $2. They almost went out of business. They brought Steve Jobs back to reinvent the company, which he did with the iPod. Remember the iPod? You could put 15 songs on it. You didn't know what they were.
Mm-hmm.
That's what reinvigorated Apple. And look at them now. Pretty good company.
They're doing okay.
They're doing all right. But even like Amazon, invented in a garage by Jeff Bezos, Jeff and his wife.
It was about books originally.
Books, just college books.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so they're $2 a share. Well, now they're, after split adjust and everything, let's say it's $1,000 a share. I die, I will you that stock, you get it at $1,000 a share. If you sold it for $1 less the next day, you could declare a loss. So stepped-up basis is powerful. You inherit things at stepped-up basis, real property, not annuities or anything like.
But you can still inherit the house if there's payments left on the mortgage.
Yeah, you can, and you're going to have to pay that debt. If there's a reverse mortgage, you'd have to pay that debt. And what most people do is they sell the house, pay the debt, keep the cash.
You should put me as your transfer on death for your house.
I've been thinking about that. Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I asked my kids what they thought, and they're like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, sure,
fine.
Brian, no problem.
Yeah, we like Brian, so give him all your money.
He's funny.
No, he's not.
Okay. My husband passed away 3 years ago. We had a will together. Is it necessary for me to redo the will, things on it that I still want to do?
Yes. Anytime there's a death, you should rewrite your will.
Or at least make adjustments, right? It shouldn't be like a full redo of a will. You can contact the original attorney, right? And
I think you should probably rewrite it.
Oh?
I think, things have changed. You know, things that you would have had your spouse get if they were in your name only.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to get those because they're deceased. They can't inherit things. So let's say you don't have children, but your spouse is deceased. You might want to include charities in there now that weren't included before. I think it's important when there's a death of a spouse to kind of do a full stop and really just kind of go through everything again, because everything has changed. These are big deals. Now, I would be cautious of people that want you to hurry up and make changes. I think that there are times where, now there are some things that have to be done right away. That's true. But when somebody is kind of pushing you to make changes, sometimes it takes a little time you got to grieve. This is your spouse died. And so when somebody's pushing me to make changes, I think, well, this is a time to be gentle. So let's look at the things that we have to do, and let's do those things. And let's look at the things that we want to do and decide on a time frame that's realistic and attainable without having to push you and every time we meet have just a crying session because you're still grieving. Not everything has to be done right away. And what I suggest to people is in the first year or so after the death of a spouse, I would avoid really big, unnecessary decisions like vacation homes and motor homes and things like that. So there are things that need to be done. Do those. There are things that don't need to be done. If you need to wait, that's okay.
All right. We got one more break and then a few more minutes with Dave Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. We'll get in as many questions as we can here in just a minute.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from businesses like Dutchman Hospitality Group. Christian recording artist Jason Gray on March 8th at 7 p.m. More information is at ohiostartheater.com. That's ohiostartheater.com.
Moody Radio is thankful for the support from our listeners and Bridgeway Homeschool Academy, proud to provide 30 years of flexible curriculum programs and one-on-one support for homeschoolers. Learn more about textbook, online, and live online homeschool classes at bridgewayacademy.com.
This is David Harms with the ministry India Partners, and I have walked through the red light districts of Mumbai, India numerous times, and trust me, it is dark. Young girls have no joy in their eyes because they feel they have no future, and they'll be stuck in the trade for the rest of their lives. But once they get into a safe house run by India Partners, well, just listen. That is God at work, which is why for the last year we've shared powerful stories of safety, rescue, and care happening through the India Partner Safe Houses. These girls are safe from harm, well cared for, and introduced to the transforming and healing love of Jesus. Learn more about the power of rescue and care in a safe house at indiapartners.org/Moody.
That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I
That's so mean.
Hey, you're the only other guy I know that has like 6 stories. And so I feel more camaraderie with you.
You didn't hear the one about the basic training yet? About the what's the minimum, Sergeant? Like, don't talk to me. I once kicked a guy out of my tank. We were like 10 miles away from
You told me that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, grab your stuff and get out. He's like, what? It's really hot and we're really far. I said, I know, it's going to be painful. Now get out.
Yeah.
I did call somebody and they picked him up. But
440-546-2255.
Is a written will required to be filed with a court or a lawyer to make it effective?
No. Every state has different requirements, and some states will allow you to just write it on the back of a napkin if you want to.
Some people need what are those people called?
A notary.
Yeah, thank you.
A notary. There's also a high-powered notary called a signature guarantee. You don't need that for a will, but
So they really verify it's you?
Well, it's for securities transactions and other financial transactions that I don't know why they don't trust a notary for them.
I know, it's like they check
Not you.
that it's you.
Yeah,
I want to be
right.
really sure it's you. I'm going to look a little longer at your license.
And so if you're a signature guarantee, it costs like $1,000 a year to maintain your signature guarantee because they don't trust you either.
Goodness gracious.
But I think it's wise to have a written will and have it notarized and have it with people that know. Because let's say that my wife one time said, I don't know any of your passwords or anything at the office. I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll write them all down. And I put them in my safe at the office, and she doesn't know the combination to it.
And also, you have to change passwords all the time for stuff. It's too much.
You do. But if you have it on file with somebody, a financial advisor, an attorney, a family member, they can submit that to, and if you change your will, which does happen frequently, people change wills. They get assets that they didn't have, so they add them in. They sell assets that were in the will, so they take them out. Specific things. So they have to have the latest copy, dated, signed. And it doesn't need to be notarized, but I think that's a powerful thing to keep it from being challenged.
And you can go to the UPS store and do that.
Notary?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your bank will notarize. Every bank has a notary.
There you go. What's the next one, Lauren?
This is from Mayor Phil.
Oh,
yay!
We love you, Phil.
Does Dave think we will end up in a recession? Everyone's been predicting it, but it looks like the economy is still strong.
It does look like the economy's strong, but
stagflation.
I am really concerned about stagflation, which is inflating prices and a stagnating economy.
Exactly.
A lot of people that I trust are calling for a slowdown that would be meaningful. Will it be recessionary? I don't know, but it sure is going to, I sure felt like we were in a recession parts of last year, even though we have low unemployment. And, most of the growth in the economy right now is government influence because we have record debt. We have $35 trillion of debt, and that came from the Build Back Better, which didn't build back anything better. And it came from infrastructure deals. They really just inflated the economy, and that is really painful to people. And so when there's this kind of disconnect with people say, well, the economy's growing, why are people so mad about what's going on? Well, that's because they go to the grocery store. There's a lot of inflation numbers that we report that take out everything that we live on. They'll say minus food and energy. Well, last time I looked,
the worst.
We use food and energy frequently, especially in Cleveland in the winter.
I'm actually fighting inflation for my team, myself. Mm-hmm. I brought in eggs today.
It's true.
Yeah. Everybody got 2 dozen eggs, except you.
That's good. I wouldn't.
So I forgot about you.
Yeah.
You don't like eggs?
No, I do like eggs, but I don't seek them out. I'll get them at breakfast, but I generally don't.
You won't eat them at home?
Probably not.
They're expensive now, aren't they?
I don't know.
They're just shy of $3 a dozen.
Oh, great heavens.
So I just gave you guys $6 each. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Is that taxable? Is that a taxable benefit?
No, I'm just...
You could.
You have to declare.
You could set up a little stand, like a lemonade stand.
I don't need to.
Like a lemonade stand, but for eggs.
It's just the satisfaction I have in my heart of helping my friends.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with them?
You can't.
You have so many chickens.
Yeah, they just won't stop producing eggs. It's a lot. They're annoying. Anyway, sorry. But stagflation, blah, blah, blah.
I do think that we're going to go into a fairly meaningful slowdown. Okay. I don't know if it'll be recessionary, but it's going to feel like it.
Okay. My emergency funds are all depleted, but my IRA of $30,000 remains. It will be needed for funeral costs and to repair my house for resale. Any advice?
Yeah, I would be very hesitant to do a lot of major repairs on a house before you sell it right now, because just the supply of housing is so low. You probably put your own sign out in the yard. I don't necessarily recommend doing that, but houses are really easy to sell right now. So when I talk to somebody and they say, well, we're going to sell, but we're going to redo the kitchen, the bathrooms, the basement, the garage, and the yard, I said, don't do any of that. Just sell your house. See what
it might not be worth the cost.
Might not be worth the cost. So I don't really like taking money out of my IRA for current needs unless there's no other way to do it. Because if you're under the age of 59 and a half, you're going to pay a 10% penalty and it's taxable to you. So I want to think about these things. The other thing that I want to just question is, why is your emergency fund depleted? What happened? Do you need to sell right now? So there's kind of a sifting process that we could go through here just to determine what the best thing is to do. And I would do that. If there's been a death, this is a great time to just full stop. We talked about this earlier. Full stop. Look at what you're doing. Can I build my emergency fund up? What's the smartest thing to do with your money? A lot of times when people feel like they're boxed into a corner, they make a lot of bad decisions. I got to make it right now. And somebody's pushing them. You don't. Just slow down. Slow your roll.
Dave is very close to being able to pull money out of his IRA without penalties. He is. Lauren, he's close.
You're nearing.
He's very
You're
close.
encroaching.
45-ish is pretty close.
Start filling out the paperwork, Dave. It's time to cash it out.
My neighbor has lived in her house for 50 years.
Oh, boy.
And she's about to move. You don't think she has to do updates on her house before she goes?
No, not at all.
She's been there for 50 years?
She's probably owned it for 20.
Carpet.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would say you don't. I wouldn't
I
spend
know.
any
I'm
money
very
on
excited to go look inside when she leaves.
The houses we're looking at are in rough shape, but they're still selling for a decent price.
I know.
These houses have not been cared for and not been updated.
Oof.
So my supposed wife, Levon, is in Vero Beach.
No, your wife.
No, it is my wife. She's in Vero Beach. She's wintering in Vero Beach. I'll be there next week.
Wintering.
There was a house for sale in Vero Beach for $60 million.
Obviously.
And I looked online and it had an open house.
Will you take cash?
So you made her go?
I called her and I said, hey, there's an open house at a $60 million house. You should go. And she said, don't tell me what to do. I'm like, this is my life in a nutshell.
She's wintering. Leave her alone.
Yeah, she's like hybrid.
Doing nothing. She's going to the
wintering.
beach. You don't have 25 minutes
Did
to
she
go.
go?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Oh,
I
that
would
is
have
too
definitely
bad.
went.
I would have gone. I'm trying to see a $60 million house.
Here's what you do, though. You get some like old Birkenstocks, which are the worst shoes ever.
That's wrong. You're wrong. I will fight you on
Some
that.
Daisy Duke cutoffs and like a stained up white wife beater, and you go in. I just want to look at your house.
In your goodness sakes.
Where's the bathroom?
You got any free food at this here show? No, we could try to convince someone who listens to move right next door to you. Share your driveway and everything.
Yeah.
We do have a shared driveway.
Oh, shared
There will
driveway.
be chalk on it.
Dave could winter in Cuyahoga Falls.
Come on, winter over an hour away.
It could be your neighbor.
There's still concerts at Blossom, right?
Oh, yeah.
Blossom? Yeah. Yeah, I'd be
Tons.
way closer to my favorite concerts.
Blossom is like, what, 15 minutes away?
I hate concerts. I hate going to concerts.
It's just the people. Yeah.
No, it's the concerts. I hate going to concerts.
Wait, I guess he won't be wintering next door to you.
My supposed wife,
I don't wanna-
who's in Vero Beach, used to love to go to concerts. I'm like, why do you hate me? Why are you making me go to this?
Well, then Levon can come winter and be our neighbor.
It's a big thing to have a new neighbor when you just move
Are
in.
you going to bake something for them and like welcome them to the neighborhood and to the driveway?
Ask her if she bakes. Go ahead.
Do you bake?
No, Eddie bakes. His mom owns a bakery, so he worked at our bakery, obviously.
Yeah, I love bakery. What's his favorite thing to bake? Is he any good at it?
He likes carrot cake cupcakes.
Okay.
With the cream cheese frosting.
Delish.
Boy,
All right, we got one more.
What a sweet deal she's got.
I know.
Goodness sakes.
For the transfer on death deed, do you go through your mortgage company to do the transfer on death, and is there a fee?
No, you go through the county courthouse, and there probably is. You know, government, the way government works, there's a fee for everything. They'll nickel and dime you to death so that you need your transfer on death deed. So that's the way government works. It's kind of like a big Ponzi scheme.
But anyway, you go to the county courthouse.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, go to the.
And
you
just
go.
to
You
the-
do it online. And
Who
file
do
it.
you talk to there?
The county recorder. You weren't ready for that. You thought I wasn't going to know.
No, I figured
I saw
you
the
would.
look on your face.
No, it's one of those totally useless facts that you would know. Yeah. Like that varicose funds or whatever.
Viatical syndrome. It's just,
There you go.
it's not a
Varicose
useless fact,
veins
Brian.
funds.
It's a financial asset. Of course I know about it. Come on.
Ventricular funds. Okay, that's Dave Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. He will be making an appearance at Walkworthy Men's Conference.
Yeah.
You might see him. He might be sitting by you.
I have some prepared remarks that I'll share from the stage.
You will not. And
okay.
Look around for a well-dressed elderly man, and that's probably David. And say, "Are you Dave?" And he'll
Elderly.
say, "As a matter of fact, I am." And you can ask him financial advice, wave to him. I may even have you stand up and
Yeah,
wave.
you have to. You're gonna have to stand and wave.
I've done
Yeah,
that
I'm going to
before.
have my cut-off Daisy Dukes, Birkenstocks, and a
He will not be standing up.
stained wife beater.
Well, Dave, remain seated and wave. Yeah. We're all traumatized. We need a break here. Listen in tomorrow for Follow Up Friday. My wife Sarah will be here all morning.
Oh, wow.
Our special
Lucky
Follow Up
you.
Friday.
Lucky you.
I'll try not to kiss her all morning.
Please don't. I'm like
Yes.
right here.
Is that bad in the workplace? I suppose
You're going
it
to
is.
have to just turn your head and walk away.
Can I hug her a lot during the
You
morning?
can hug her. That's fine.
Remember, I have to see you 3 times because of the live stream. I see real
Okay.
you and I see you twice on my computer.
All right.
boy.
Well,
Oh, boy.
we'll just talk then, I guess. That's Follow Up Friday. If you want to reach out to Dave Szfranski, he'll just come to us. Go to morningswithbrian.whatever.org. And I almost said edu, but that's not right. We're not a school. We're a show. And then you can also text us, 440-546-2255. We'd be glad to connect you. Thanks, Dave.
Righto.
Shout out to your sister, Mary. Fragile Mary.
Thanks,